Oh, look at that. Come on, is it going? Hey, there we go. Hello, comic fans. How's it going, everybody? It's our weekly chat. We're down to 3. Sleepy Reader will be with us again next week. He just couldn't make it this week, so you have the 3 of us to contend with. What did I call it today? The horrible hapless creatures or something? Yeah, I don't even remember what the heck I called the stream, but there you go. Welcome. LahRasa, Earl Grey, nice to see you. How are you both?
I'm good.
Great.
Yeah, good.
Lubricating with gin, which is good. So
A bit tired and out of whack, but
yeah,
everything's fine. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's good. Cheers. Have a sip. Got to make eye contact though with the camera.
Shit.
So,
Sorry.
we just jump right into it. Who
Yeah,
would
I
like to go
guess.
first? Rasa, would you like to start us off?
Well, the least person who read, of course, I'll start here.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk whatever I was talking about last week. Let's rant about this shit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I finally finished it, and I'm happy with it, but I'm not really happy towards this character, to be honest. He didn't have enough of a limelight, even after reading this whole book. Our creator, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, there's some back matter. They talk about this actually, and they didn't plan this to be a story anyway. But Rick's wasn't even their priority. Teague was a priority because of his criminal books. It seems to be I'm delaying on my video. So yes, afterwards, this is saying here about the Teague and him being like more important to the story, because basically we find out the fate of Teague. Oh, I'm not even working. Oh, look at me. I'm doing special effects.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Reading
Camera,
this book
come on,
turned you
work
right
with me
upside
here.
down.
There you go. I'm back normal. Sorry, I know it's a bit of a headache there. So it's as I say, it's great story. It's well told, to be honest. I was kind of pissed off at the beginning, but the way I felt like it should have been, because of I wanted him, because we still did not find out how he died, really, like the information behind. We just found out Teague's life and what came to that point, how we all got messed up. And Cruel Summer is a good way of saying. And honestly, I started to warm up more to the Jacob's coloring to the story. I started letting go, and I was like, I have to listen to this to see if I just give it a fair chance. And then honestly, the further I went into the book, as I say, as a whole package of the book and the story, it's really good. But what I was expecting, I didn't get, which is what I'm really bothered by. That's those crazy scenes are beautiful, isn't it?
Such good pages. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then another thing which I really liked, like you have those special back matter, but this page here of the cover, this is, you see, Sean Phillips, I think, is painted cover.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't look really, I mean, maybe it's probably digital, but I'm not sure. But it does really look well thought of, and it looks really well. It's digital, I think, still looking at it. But anyway, so as I say, overall as a book,
even stuff like this too. Like, I love that bold use of color there, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you're talking, I'm flipping through the book, and I'm reminded how much I enjoyed this. Sorry, carry on.
By the way, I really like this movie.
Oh, so good, right?
Yeah, this movie is really fantastic. If you haven't watched Earl Grey, Point Blank is called, and it's a series, and this guy in Alcatraz escape, and it's just things happens after that. It's kind of very similar to the way, I think that's why Brubaker likes those kind of movies as well, because he's kind of really similarly writes to that as well.
I think I have watched it.
Yeah, so I because of this basically criminal series, I was looking at back matter, which I really like about those back matter, because sometimes you get into the mind of the writers. And he was telling about that movie, and I wanted to watch it. And it was, I love, what's the most stunning about that movie was, for me, is the color choice. You don't see that often anymore. Only in 1970s, those era of San Francisco, where they just like San Francisco, that area, or Lay area where they did those detective movies, they had such a beautiful color choices, and it's just like so picturesque and not afraid to just use like orange. You don't see orange that much anymore, like you only see like in cartoon form maybe, but like a normal like detective is more like a flashy now. It's like more into, they're more, like special effects stuff, not like that kind of like noir tale, because Point Blank was perfect noir tale, like you never knew where he's gonna go, who is he talking, is he going after a mind or craziness or something. But the way it finished I really liked. It just had a nice suspense, and as I say, this is really good. This book in generally, I enjoyed it. As a package, is really good. As a teak story as well is kind of rewarding, to be honest, because like the way he ended, it's actually quite too good for him, to be honest, the way the person he was, I think. It's kind of cruel to say that to me, because I don't want to really spoil how it happened, because it actually was quite surprising, especially who did it, to Teague.
It really was.
I didn't expect that at all. But I can see that Brubaker was just slightly nudging towards it, especially there's a couple of scenes of those people who were involved in Teague's demise, let's say this way. But so I think in that sense, that's really, really well. And then he said that he had the story 18 years, which is kind of shitloads, like, I mean, criminal series was already popular. But I think when you have something going on, you don't want to, like, everything is in the head, but you don't think it's going to work. And he says that's the same thing in here at the back of the book. He says, like, he didn't think it's going to work out, but suddenly we wanted, because a criminal came out and people were still wanting more, he had something else to tell, and this is what we got. And hopefully, I want the Rick to be more in the limelight, because I think Rick himself, because of how he was brought up, he would have a really great story, to be honest, because he's all over the place. Whatever happened with him and the chick, what's her name? I forgot her name now. The main character in here. Yeah. Josie, I think it's Josie's name. Anyway, so what Josie and him did together when she was looking for him, that was just like striking. And she's like, oh, she doesn't, the way the old characters was in here really kind of meshed really nicely together. They had common kind of life. Even Rick, even though he was a teenager, and here in the storyline, you could see that they were kind of sharing the same things as well, which is, as I say, I liked as a package as well this book in like hardback, really nicely done. And honestly, if you can get it for, like, let's say cheaper, £20 or something like that, it's really, really good time spent and money spent, and it looks really nice on the shelf as well. I mean, it's nice cover and all that stuff. So I just wanted to just mention that back, because I mentioned it last week, and I was really kind of pissed off, because basically I went in this one because of him it being plastered on the first page. I was thinking, okay, we're gonna get finally that's another brother story, because I think that they are quite fascinating because of their fathers, the lifeline and how they lived together. Like, because we had a lot of other brothers' life in criminal series, but this one would be nice more. Anyway, so I'm just saying I want more kind of thing. Because I feel satisfied with the overall story, what I've read. I definitely know why people like it. It's really easy to read. Of course, it's entertaining if you'd like the criminal part of the storyline and how Brubaker puts all things together. I think it's really kind of like, it's his cup of tea. It's exactly what he wants to do, how he's basically came to fame for what it is. And I'll talk to you about another thing what I read about the Brubaker, because I had that in the back of my tablet and I've never read it because situations I was like, I'm not interested, but I'll talk to you about that a little bit later in the next chance I have.
It's interesting, like flipping through this again, realizing how much I loved it. Because it's kind of like reliving parts of the story. One of the dynamics, I did like the dynamic between the father and son, because there was moments like neither of them are good people, so let's just get that out of the way. But it felt like he was trying to live this new life when he gets in with this woman, and he was trying to kind of adapt, and his son just wasn't letting him. Like, it's just that your past, getting away from your past and stuff. I really like that dynamic. I mean, I really love this story, especially well, I don't know if it was especially, but I mean, coming off the back of Reckless and reading this, it was like, this is the zone that I like them in. This is exactly the zone. Like, the Reckless stuff just doesn't work. And then you read this, it's like, okay, no. It's just they had a misstep. They can still do it. They can still do stuff. But I mean, this whole world, as you're saying, this whole world is so interesting. And you have all that backstory. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys as well, because you both read it, but I just wanted to make one thing. Remember that the way the story started with Rick taking money from somebody, or stealing money from somebody, and getting the dad out of the jail. But those Russians he was owning the money, they never came back to that story. They just left them behind. I mean, like, if you start with that, surely some sort of consequences happened. Even in the story overall, end of it, there was mentioned. They mentioned them. Oh, do you remember those Russian guys, the mob? They still owe you. Like, we owe them a ton of money. But suddenly, there's nobody coming after them. It's like kind of like, so why? Like, I mean, I know you wanted him to go out of the jail somehow. And this is a clever way of saying, oh, the son is going to do it for him. Because at the end of the day, this book is about son and dad's dynamic between together, like you mentioned. But it's just like those kind of little bits. And I thought with Brubaker, he takes all the notes kind of thing together and they mesh them together nicely and give you as a package. But it seems to be that kind of point. He just like left it alone. And then I was like, it just gripes me a little bit, because I would like, Russian mob is not easy to get away from, because knowing all the stories, let's say, or information on that kind of stuff. So that would be another story he could really write, because that's kind of like intriguing, to be honest. So.
What I like about the whole criminal stories is that there are more of these criminal stories, that this is a whole world. And this is the reason why I haven't given up hope on Reckless, not yet. Maybe they find their footing and the whole story, when maybe it's just so... one of the mistakes I feel that they made is just to want too much in the very first stories. Tell us with caption boxes and stuff that is not really told through the story, and just too much setup. And instead of letting it go and letting it flow more naturally, like it did, it worked with Criminal. But I guess it took some time for me even to get into Criminal. As crazy as it's maybe I will Reckless to be good, because
I think for Reckless,
it's interesting because you said it in your video. You were talking about all the caption boxes and stuff, and it just made me think of, like, if he wants to just write a novel, he should just write a novel. You know what I mean? If he wants to just write a crime novel, he should just write a crime novel. And I never really thought about it like that until you kind of pointed it out on that Lady Yes video, just about the use of caption boxes. And I guess it's something that he does a lot, but it seemed like it was a little more when I see it on the, like when you were showing it on the screen, it did seem excessive than kind of what he normally does. Not that he stays away from it in this by any stretch, but there's a lot more dialogue. Like, you're still getting pages where it's just caption boxes the whole time, right? But it just has a different kind of flavor to it. Yeah, anyway, that was my thought on that, yeah.
Well, I think it's what Reckless has.
Go ahead.
It's all the
no, you go. I'll give back.
Yeah. In Reckless, there is a lot of drama in many caption boxes. Not just that there's text, but there's text that means a lot of stuff.
Right.
While in Criminal, there were little portions that worked better with the pictures and that had to do with the pictures. I would call it a bit Rick Remender disease. Remender, as much as I like him usually, but he does caption boxes all over the pages that are just reading material, and the pictures are something else, and they don't have necessarily to do something with each other.
I think as my point on Reckless is, I think it's just we trying something. I don't think it, to be honest, is fully working for them at the moment, or for us actually readers more than anything else. But hopefully that's all this kind of supposed feedback or we talking about it more, maybe we'll take it in account seeing it, because you can see definitely Brubaker's different writing styles when it comes to one chunk of book, or if he does a serialized with the issues, because it seems to be that he has time to think it off like more. It's like, can I make it a little bit better? Like, you zhuzh it up a bit more. When you do the whole package, I think you just like, like focus on one whole storyline, the whole chunk, which is like what, 200 something, 300 pages, which is a lot of matter to actually think on one day, like, not saying one sitting, but you know what I mean? It's like, like before you produce, and especially they're producing this Reckless books very quite soon from each other. I don't know how long they had behind that matter, like before the preparation, before they released anything. But it seems to be it's way too quick for like 4 of them, isn't it? A year they want to produce, which is a lot of work for both of them. I mean, even for Sean Phillips, just to chug that out, it's not so easy. Like people come out with a trade paperback and it's like, ooh, it's a score. Like, oof, 2 a year. It's like, yeah, I've done it, kind of thing. Like it seems to be that's what you hear from creators. So having 4 of them, it seems. I don't know if that kind of amount of work is actually great for us for readers, but is it great for them to actually telling the whole story they want to do as the whole package selling point, like to make people interested in about. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Well, I mean, what are you reading next from them? Like, did you have anything else that you hadn't read, Rasa, or was that kind of?
I'm caught up with all the criminal part of the stuff, so I'm all done. This was my last. I think the only thing I haven't read from them is Incognito.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
And there's the number one they have done together. I'm not sure where the story falls in anything, but yeah. So from their I think Incognito is something one before I haven't read it from them. So, but and I don't know if I have them. I think I thought I had it, but I looked it up, and it seems to be you can actually buy the trade or like graphic novel like that. But I don't know. As I say, I have read it. I'm happy where I am. I think I need to take a break from Sean Phillips and them together, because it seems to be I like just shoved so much information from them. I mean I enjoy it. I'll show you why, because at the end of the day I'm reading more Brubaker, but I'm resting from the other artists, kind of from Sean Phillips' art. I'm looking for something else. But anyway, so yeah.
Cool.
I need a break from those kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Mr. Grey, what do you got for us?
I'm cheating a bit because this is not a comic. But I spoke last time about Gary Panther doing some stuff with Charles Burns.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You may know this book here.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
No, it's a gorgeous looking book, though.
Yeah, this is pretty great, and one of my favorite art books actually. This is done by some Greek-sounding Chamborakis or something like that. Chamborakis, don't know. But there is actually a different publisher who did the same or almost the same, not so shiny like this one here. And what he did here is in the fashion of some of some children book where you have different animals, the head of a giraffe and the body of a monkey and the feet of a tiger or something like this. And so it's always one page Charles Burns and one page Gary Panther. And even though you would say, and it's actually true, that they have pretty different art styles, obviously, it works beautifully when you flip. Let's see, so through these pages here.
Wow!
It's just the demented.
Cool.
It's the demented shit I need 1 week before the summer holidays.
Yeah.
There's not much more coherent thinking going on in this brain of mine, and so
wow. That's a brave way to do it, like mesh two things together.
It's just fun stuff.
Wow.
This was what I'm looking for on my shelves last week desperately, but I couldn't find it because I've misplaced it somehow.
That's cool character, man. That's crazy. So it's oh my god! So it's the whole book like that, eh?
It's I don't know. I haven't counted the pages, but you the amounts of new characters that you can come up with are limitless. Some work better than others,
of course.
But yeah.
Jeez.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely shouldn't have this kind of book because my child will rip it apart. It's perfect. It's perfect pages for that.
Yeah, it gives him maybe some nightmares. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. That's great.
The whole stuff here is called facetasm, of course. So
that's crazy.
So
very nice, man. Wow.
Nice little book. So
cool. So last week we were talking about I can't remember what the heck I was talking about where Jack Cole came up, and in the comments Russ Works mentioned his crime comics and how they were collected in some Mr. Monster books that Eclipse put out. There's so many different Mr. Monster books, so I went to the bins and found this was a 2-issue compilation, and it's all Jack Cole crime stuff from the 50s. One of them I used as kind of the avatar for this show today because that's apparently one of the images that Frederick Wortham put forward as kind of the thing that was corrupting the children. This needle in the eye, this eyeball horror kind of thing. And this was a really fun one. I haven't read the second issue yet, but this was a lot of fun, and I think this story was my favorite out of the ones in this book. Murder, Morphine, and Me. And it was about this woman, and she's just telling you about being a junkie and her kind of descent into the world of drugs and drug dealing, and just kind of how she gets abused in this situation. It was a really fun story. It's really dense text-wise, but his art is fantastic. That was the other option for today's show. I was thinking maybe using that one, but the eyeball horror seemed to work out better. But just this kind of gritty real life of, that kind of classic movie kind of trope. We're gonna show you behind the curtain of what's happening out there with the youth of today. This kind of thing. But his art is really exceptional. He's a guy that I'd like to read some more of. Like I said, this story was the highlight. The other ones were fine, but they didn't kind of grab me like that first one. But visually, with these other stories, this one here, Demon's Dance on Galloway Moor, really, really great as well too. Like visually, is where this stuff worked for me more. And I don't know his Plastic Man stuff, and I somebody had mentioned it last week too. Maybe it was AFPC as well. But I'd love to read some of his Plastic Man stuff. I'm sure there's collections out there of his Plastic Man work. But I mean, not too much to say other than like this Mr. Monster stuff is always great to get. I've got some Basil Wolverton stuff too. They do some reprints of Basil's stuff in this weird Tales of the Future. I read this quite a while ago, but since I have it out, I'll probably kind of dip into it again this week. Just good to see it represented here and kind of colored. And then you get a little bit of a write-up on Jack Cole as well too. I believe he committed suicide as well at, I think it says here, age 43. Yeah, age 43. At the peak of his success, he bought a gun and used it to commit suicide. So a tragic kind of ending to his career there. But I mean, just look at how dense those pages are with word balloons. So I can't say that I read every single panel on this last story here, but I did move through the book at a nice pace. So I mean that was fun. The other one has, I'll just kind of show you again. This other one I haven't read, but this is the second one here, True Crime Comics from Mr. Monster. And also it just has this kind of touch. Like, I love that back page. I love that lettering is really incredible. It just has this kind of, I don't know, it's this almost like really comic-y kind of lettering, but really stylized. And then it's these kind of gritty crime stories. Really, really great. It doesn't say years in here. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't say years, unfortunately, but I'm assuming they're all 50s stories. And here's a look at a little bit of issue 2, as kind of like this Bonnie and Clyde type of characters go on a crime spree, and her with her kind of beatnik haircut and her dark shades. Yeah, pages like this, really, really nice as well too. You know, really comic booky, even though the kind of theme is kind of gritty. And then at the bottom of the pages in this one, they also recreate or reproduce some of the, I'm assuming, advertising material for these kind of comics that they put at the bottom. You know, these little kind of taglines or whatever. And I think this one has 3 stories as well. Yeah, Vengeance of the Mounted. It's the next one here. And then more write-ups and things, more history. $100 reward for James Kent. Crook, killer, escaped convict. So lots of fun. Good reads. The other one that was cool on the back, they reproduced this ad in my personal comic album. You know, it's just a recreation of, I guess, what they had back in the day, where you could get these kind of binders with plastic slip sleeves that you could put your comics, your favorite comics in, and put them on your bookshelf. Yeah, so they're a lot of fun. If you find any Mr. Monster stuff out there, these things I normally find in kind of dollar bins kind of thing, if you have access to that sort of thing. They do pop up in there, because I think Mr. Monster went to a bunch of different publishers. I don't think it was just Eclipse. He kind of floated around even with his own series, but some of that stuff is worth hunting down just for the reprint material.
When I was doing the drawing, when you showed me the panel, you see I was doing recreations.
Oh,
nice.
Hold on a sec. Hold on. That's freaking amazing. There you go. Now you're like, oh,
I guess
that's so cool.
I was inspired by it way before you. Jack Cole stuff.
So good. That is so good.
And then there's another one, kind of similar vein.
Beautiful.
Oh, dude, really? Rasa, those are amazing.
Yeah, well, just you know, like I was drawing that time now, like I did all the scary kind of like things.
Oh, nice, yeah.
The theme is like a little bit like a crazy noir, where the people seeing something really gross and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just something I was doing, like drawing more and stuff like that in those days. But yeah, it's just you know, like I had inspirations, you see, from comic books, and then just like drawing some crazy like hands. Like, I think that was, you know, like Inktober. I was like doing some Inktober, and you can see it's covered in kind of like noir style art and stuff. So.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I like those backgrounds too, like the ink wash backgrounds there and stuff.
I tried my best in something like crazy, more dark themed stuff. But anyway, cool. I saw that panel. I was like, I knew some. I drew it. I knew it. So yeah, I did. So I just wanted to make sure I show it to you guys. Oh, so my camera is gonna say, oh, hello. Let's do from like this one, yeah. This camera is going a bit mental today. I think it's the heat. I'm blaming the heat.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah. Anyway, so the minute I saw that panel, I was like, I knew something in the back of my head. I have done it, so yeah, I guess I did. Anyway, so
I quickly looked here as a collection of Jack Cole's Deadly Horror.
Okay.
Craig Joe. More inspiration for Rasa to draw.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's honestly, when I was doing some of like the research, Jack Cole came up all the time because of those kind of stuff, like he drew.
And over here.
Wow, look at that. Ooh.
Oh, that's
look at
very
that
cool.
female. That's awesome.
And some seem not to like it, but I really like that. I can't say it often enough that they left the coloring as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. Wow, look at that. That's beautiful.
So
it's crazy the faces and stuff like that, like the rubbery faces, just to be able to get that kind of look is pretty impressive, man.
Exactly. And it does good stuff for. Anyway, so I guess I'm gonna mention it's my turn again.
You got it. Yeah.
When we have three of us, like it goes so quickly. Like I'm getting like whoo, flustered a little bit. Anyway, so while I'm mentioning Brubaker, I'm tackling this Captain America.
Oh boy, yeah.
So I haven't finished this whole. I read the first 5 issues, but I just like felt, like I never read many of Captain America stuff. But whatever I wanted to read is because of the Brubaker, Epting Locke, Leon is creative team, so it's of course something interested about, and it's just like really good espionage tale so far with Red Skull involved in that tale of the Nazis as well, mentioning Nazis again. Anyway, so and all those wars and
go for it.
Yeah, and so in this story we have a Cosmic Cube. So I guess in that era when this was written, the Cosmic Cube in Marvel was quite an event. I presume so. I remember hearing that quite a few times at that time. And then in this story, Cosmic Cube is involved for sure, and Captain America is basically fighting his own memories. Is really struggling in here. So I guess this basically series was inspired by our Captain America movies, isn't it? Where Bucky became Winter Soldier, and I haven't read yet till how he came about, but so we have Red Skull having a conversation with this Russian, one of the scientist geniuses, one of the Russian geniuses, and they were talking about all the like Cosmic Cube and how can we like if you find it. They were looking at era, so it comes back and forth in time, of course. What was interesting to see, which is, I guess, will be a spoiler. I'm trying to look at that page now, and of course, I won't be finding it so quickly, even though it's digital. But what happens to Red Skull, which was very surprising, to be honest. So this is a really good scene in here. So Red Skull is in order to pretend to be normal because of his skull, he wears this mask, so you can see in here, and the pedestal is putting in. So he's being his main goal in the story so far. What Red Skull wanted to do is to destroy kind of New York, London, and Paris, and just basically go against everything what Captain America is believing in, like humanity, save lives, blah blah blah. But and in here, after the past, he finds the Cosmic Cube, so he's happy because this is what's going to happen. But spoiler alert, I guess, Red Skull gets murdered, and nobody believes it. It gets really properly shot, nicely, one bullet. Somebody's really, really good at it. It doesn't show who it is, of course, but I really like this kind of scenes at the back. It just shows you it's the last page of the first issue, and him being basically plastered on the floor, being dead. And then we have issue 2 where Captain America is going for basically, and his Red Skull's troops are waiting for him because they have this huge plan where they're going to murder quite a lot of people, cause complete chaos around the world, and he's going to get all his, he's going to get his revenge, and also he's going to be able to, I'm talking about Red Skull, that he's going to be able to basically be the power of the world. And as I say, Captain America is having troubles. And in this story, it's basically for the first 5 issues, you're just seeing him completely hesitant to understand if he's actually remembering the right things. It seems to be that he remembers something, but he doesn't think like that's his memories. and everything gets involved about Bucky Barnes. So I guess that's how Brubaker is trying to show us how the main culprits they're looking for. And of course, it's kind of when looking at the movies and then reading the comic books, you have Nick Fury being a white guy, and in the movies we have, of course, Samuel L. Jackson, who is not white, being Nick Fury as well. So what I'm trying to, I just wanted to see how, I guess, Ed Brubaker is tackling this the stories, especially of the superheroes, because I'm not really much of the. I don't think I've read in that time when Brubaker was still doing a lot of stuff for Marvel or I guess Marvel. I don't know if he has done anything for. I mean, he done for DC work as well, but. What it's really nice representing is like Michael Lark is in art in here, and Steve Epting as well, and Terrence, Steve Epting from the Brubaker doing right. That the series of Female, and Michael Lark from Lazarus, so he's famous. So it's really nice actually artistically to see how they tackle that story in Captain America. But so far, it's high espionage. Definitely, Captain America struggles. It doesn't look like he's like, you always see him like really tall, and he always like represents himself and how he is like, at the end of this, the face of America, and he's all, like has a brave face on him all the time. And in here, it seems to be that he's one of the things that he struggles, and people are really doing it in his head, is that he's plays with his memories. Like past and future, and it's always struggle to be in the future, and this is the way it's nice to see that in fruition. You have also the Agent 13, which if you have watched Winter Soldier and New Captain America series, Agent 13 Sharon Carter is in there as well. So if you don't know about her in here, there's some things happening so far with her, and she's kind of very similar. Honestly, it does remind me a little bit of the movie, because Sharon Carter was in the movie as well of Captain America, first one. So yeah, and this so far, as I say, you have a Crossbones in here. So it's lots of things already if you are familiar with the Marvel universe and this. But I'm surprised how much I enjoy the way everything as a package is representing to me. Like it's really dark paneling, like as you have a past and future, and it really well resembles like like fight scenes seems to be very kind of like Marvel way, I presume. I guess they went to that theme as well, so editorial will be probably going for them. But yeah, it's very interesting so far story, and I'll definitely looking forward to read that issue where I'm left, which is a first appearance of Winter Soldier, which is this issue here. So it's become quite costly. I actually was collecting in that time this series in simple like a comic book format, but I never was, because the comic book, when I was starting to be interested, of course, the movie came, rumors started it, and everything just skyrocketed, of course. And then in here we have Steve Epting coming in, but really, to be honest, Steve Epting and Michael Lark's art kind of very similar, and I guess that's why they were working together. I think Steve Epting's is a bit more clean than Lark's is. Lark likes dry brush ink to use a lot, or if it's digital, it still have the kind of the same similarities. And Steve Epting's is a bit more kind of like what you would say picture, kind of like it seems to be he's using some references from the real-time pictures and stuff like that. So anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to mention this. So that's what I was reading, trying to finish reading it, just to, because of everything I've been watching and TV shows and Disney kind of and all the movies. I'm a fan, so I have it here, this first volume I wanted to dabble in to see. And then another, because of the Brubaker, I kind of got into that mode of reading the Brubaker stuff. So I was wanted just to have a little bit taste of difference, how Brubaker writes. But seems to be, he has his own, if you know or you read a lot of Brubaker, it's kind of like, you start to get to know how he explores the characters, how he shows the characters into fruition. He seems to be gives you a snippets of him like in shadows kind of thing before the big reveal of Winter Soldier and how he became who he was, like, and then an interesting backstory, because I've never remembered about, like Bucky Barnes being with like fighting the world wars and went to Russia and all that kind of stuff. They were having that past, even though they were suspended, like Captain America was suspended because he was in the ice, so stuff like that. And it seems to be that kind of, it's a good way of playing with the character who hasn't have that space of time still, and he has to kind of like live from being from 1940s and come back into 2000s, let's say, which is interesting to see. So yeah, really good.
That's cool. Yeah, I had borrowed it from a friend of mine, like the collection years ago, and I had started reading it, and I couldn't get into it at the time. But seeing that again, I'd like to give it another shot because it does look really good, and apparently it's an incredible run. But I don't know, I just wasn't into it at the time. I just couldn't get past it being like a Marvel Captain America and Brubaker, you know what I mean? Because I think in my head with those kind of things, it's always going to be, I know that there's going to be some limitations, like Gore was talking about. Talking about Brubaker's irritation about being asked how much money he made off the films. The answer, of course, is zero. I think this means the end of great stories for Marvel and DC, and it's something that's always in the back of my head when I'm reading good writers with those comics. I do know that there's going to be some limitations as to what they can do. Not to say that they still can create really good stories within that world. They totally can, but I think that was part of it for me that I just couldn't get into. And I've never been a big Captain America fan anyway, but I should give it another shot because that looks really, really nice.
I mean, the artist, of course, definitely really helps, to be honest, to the story to get into but this is, I wanted just to, because it's the first one in 6 issues, and I was like, okay, I have it in digital format. I wanted to see if I even wanted to taste that, like a palette, to see if it's for my palette and stuff like that. But it seems to be, I enjoy espionage tales anyway. I like that. I mean, I'm not into much of the history of Captain America, for example, but let's say from movie stand of view, I really enjoy watching it because of the high, action scenes kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing, feel for that in the comic book. So it's nothing really overly much to read, to be honest. It's kind of quick flip. You can go through the first one in an instant, to be honest. Yeah. Really easy to read. But of course, it does help to see kind of thing how those famous artists were doing Captain America and how they really putting that noir feel to it, to be honest, because of the darkness they used in the paneling. So that was interesting. And also Winter Soldier, to be honest, I don't know exactly how I mean, from the movies, if it's actually what happened, but from Brubaker's point of view, it would be nice to see what, why he wanted to create that kind of thing. So to see if it's actually gonna like what he wanted to create, so as a character. Yeah.
Cool. Right on. Mr. Grey, what do you got next there?
I continue with Marvel.
Oh, cool.
Terrence showed this some in some video some weeks ago, and this is really a nice comic book. Absolutely. With Alex Ross cover here after Jack Kirby, and I mean, story-wise, I don't know. It's just enough that I know what this is here all about. It's the Legion of Shield, or how these guys and girls are called. Nick Fury has to find out about some intruder, some spy, and in the end of the story, it's a genetic copy or a clone of his girlfriend. Oh, this was a spoiler, but I guess this book is
not much of one though, because they're pretty self-contained little tales. That artist, those pages are gorgeous, man.
Yeah. The art is what sold me when you showed it, and so I thought, hey, why not
Remind us who is the artist?
Greg Smallwood.
Okay,
And-
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I guess he did the colors as well, because the colors are really popping there.
They really are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this second story here is with the Silver Surfer. I mean, Silver Surfer is by far my favorite Marvel character.
Mhm.
This loner, autistic guy that is just always depressed and rides on his surfboard. It's such a out there creation, and somehow a bit so out there that it's somehow relatable. Oh, page flip.
Oh,
The comic book is already destroyed, I feel. Not mint anymore. Damn.
Oh my.
But the Silver Surfer story is, I mean, this is just a bit too photoreferential. When you look at this from 2 meters afar, it could be photos, and maybe he used just photos and you put a Photoshop filter over it. It's an amazing amount of work, maybe, that he put in, but I don't know. I like Lee Bermejo's art in other stories, maybe in the Joker story, for an example. But here it's a bit too much, and it's just this narration going on in his head, and I really actually don't know where this goes, even though I like this ending here, with the monkey eye and the star.
Lee Bermejo can draw a really nice Winky as well for Batman.
Yeah. Winky?
Yeah.
Oh, was he the artist in that black label one where you saw?
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
The Batman.
Yeah, the famous one where you're not allowed to have it
the
anymore.
thing with the Batman. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right. Obviously, it was successful. It was maybe the most successful square centimeter in his whole artistic career.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is great. Oh no, this is pretty great.
Yes, it really is.
It's Alex Ross, and then this guy O'Connell, however, took over.
God, I love it so much.
Yeah.
That's got to be a poster, man.
Yeah. I remember when I watched it when you showed it, and I almost had really sexual feelings when I saw it. And the story is just Doctor Strange here. He fights with the powers of the good dreams. This guy who has the powers of the nightmares. What's his name here?
His name is Nightmare. Yeah.
His name is Nightmare. Okay, right on the nose. Okay, and so dreams versus nightmares. This is the story. But with this kind of poster art, I mean, when as a kid you had these posters inside of some magazines or fold-out paper posters that you could put on your wall, but actually I don't remember having something like this one here.
I need to get this. I really like what I'm seeing again. I guess I loved when the comic rack was showing. Oh, what's going to happen? Terrence, he's chopping us into squares.
Sorry, I didn't do that. I don't know what happened there. I honestly didn't click anything. That was very strange.
Yeah.
There we go. That should be it. There you go.
And then our Doctor Strange goes away because he succeeded. And the rest is what Marvel does sometimes.
Yeah, put posters.
Not only Marvel, DC as well.
Yeah.
Different ads for their own stuff. But yeah, overall, thanks. This was really a good recommendation, and some of the best comic pages that you can get, I guess.
Yeah,
especially
it's a super fun series. And I mean, that's the thing with that I've said before about Marvel. DC does it too, but Marvel really seems to go full bore with some of those and really just kind of leaps at the opportunity to get a bunch of crazy artists together. I love it. I thought it was such a fun miniseries.
How many
even
issues?
if the stories didn't always hit.
How many issues?
I believe it was 6. Probably 6, but now don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I only got this one, but
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having it for sure, because that's really a proper eye candy, seeing all that stuff. And honestly, when you were showing that Silver Surfer and thinking about Lee Bermejo art and stuff like that, it is very photorealistic, to be honest. It just feels it's so overly, well, not overly, I guess a bad word to use, but very rendered work. Like it has the pages covered, but from tip to bottom. Like it's crazy how many you can do,
But when it works, it really works.
Yeah, it does,
This
for
over
sure.
rendering, and it gets something different. It becomes something different than just a photo, or that you can see that he made something with it. While in this Silver Surfer story, it's a bit. I don't know. It's just some pages. I don't know. Don't want to be too critical, but just in comparison with the other stuff from Greg Smallwood and this other guy.
Greg Smallwood's art is really good in Moon Knight, to be honest. That's when I first kind of noticed him from, because I read maybe the first 3-4 issues of the Moon Knight when they came out.
Moon Knight?
Yeah, from the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg Smallwood was in the art duties, and he honestly really looks good, even though they're like, he's moody, kind of like, like Moon Knight, like almost like a Batman type of character, what they say for Marvel. So, but he has that nice cape, and he was using kind of a limited palette, as far as I remember. It did kind of remind me of like when Hawkeye had an artist, I forgot the name now of the artist now, but kind of like similar vein, kind of not like the same art style, but I'm saying the kind of similar color palettes in the store. Lemire was writing it. Jeff Lemire now, like Sweet Tooth, everybody's talking about it because of Netflix TV series, and I haven't watched it. Have you guys watched it?
No, I mean, I haven't watched it yet. No, I'd really like to, though. I've never read the books either, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
I read the first volume like 8-9 years ago, and I don't remember. I mean, I remember kind of clearly the horns and everything, and then I remember I got like really kind of like, because it was one of the first things I read, like not from the mainstreams, and that because I was just getting into comic books in that time, so I was reading lots of like graphic novels. So I remember that kind of like like I remember a cover really clearly. And I remember liking the story.
Yeah, I read it in total completely, and was pretty much blown away. This is just an incredible story, and even though these characters seem to be so fairy tale-ish, like not real, but when you read it, it's just really fantastic, and somehow this minimalistic art is for me now an integral part of it. So I really don't want to see it as a movie or a TV series or anything.
I'm curious,
but I just don't really watch very often a TV series or something like this. A part of our family, we as a family, we watch Star Trek. We are now in Deep Space Nine. We have watched each and every episode.
Nice.
The first circle, the second circle, and if you know my wife, this is such an endeavor for me to get her to Star Trek, and now she is a Trekkie all over. And we have
yay! We have a Trek fan. Yay! Not Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Woo, go away.
her jingle on her mobile is the sound of the Next Generation and so on. It's
nice.
That's
That's
great.
my cup
so
of tea.
there's not much more space for another series in our family here.
Wow, that's a good run. I am a huge fan of Star Trek, and me and husband go for the watch. And I am Next Generation throughout fan, complete. Picard is my captain. They talk about who's your captain and all that stuff. I enjoy everything Star Trek, to be honest. I watch movies even, and I was really happy when movies came out. But have you watched the Picard series though? Have you?
No.
You definitely have to. If you're a Star Trek fan, go for Picard series. It's really good. It shines through really nicely. And of course, new Star Trek series. I think they are lovely. I absolutely love them as well, by the way. So just to mention, I am 3-hour fan. I'm kind of the new season should be coming out at the end of this year, of course, because they always do that before winter starts. So I'm looking forward to, because they're going into some crazy stuff, which is really good. And I really like that. It's just the more Star Trek for me, the better. It's just everything goes away then. The Star Trek comes up, nothing else interesting. Just Star Trek. Let's just focus. I'm a big fan.
Voyager and Deep Space Nine are my favorite. I love Janeway is such a, she's my captain. I love the Voyager series.
Oh,
and Deep Space Nine I just found so enjoyable.
Yeah, Janeway is always next. It's I watch Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager just goes afterwards straight away. I have to watch afterwards. It's never, you just can't go away from that. Yeah.
We come to that.
Yeah. Voyager is great. The story in general is such a good one, and it goes through.
Even though I'm afraid, I still love the original series the most. I mean, when
it's a lot of fun.
When these blocks of styrofoam flow through some sport hall, which is supposed to be some different planet, and it's always the same Mehrzweckhalle in German.
Right.
Yeah, it's just all these effects that aren't really effects, but yeah.
Do you know they even did? Do you know that they even did animated series of the Shatner's ones?
Yeah, I've got the box set. It's a blast, and it comes in this kind of clam. It's so much fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I found it many years ago and binged it. It's a blast.
I just watched the episode with these triples.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was on the DVD yeah, we have to watch still Star Trek. No space for Sweet Tooth.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Hey, Sweet Tooth can wait. You just it can be. Star Trek is first always in my books as well.
Cool. So kind of keeping up with in the same vein that I was diving down with the Jack Cole stuff. I finally picked up an issue of this is from volume 2 of Howard Chaykin's Hey Kids Comics series. So I haven't read anything in volume 1. So I know that it was roughly the idea behind it. And again, very rough, broad strokes is kind of the history of comics told by Chaykin. And based on this one issue, I honestly don't know if I'll continue with it. It feels like it feels like he's retelling the history of comics with a bunch of different names and using different companies, but there's no real angle to it so far. And again, purely based on one solo issue. So I realize that's very, very narrow in scope, but I wanted Howard Chaykin to be Howard Chaykin. The only thing that's different in this one is the characters drop F-bombs here and there. You know what I mean? It's but there's not really any sort of, it just seems to be if you want to tell a history of comics, just again, write a fucking book about the history of comics then, instead of, and one of the things that apparently is the appeal to it is that that's what it is. It's this history of comics. But the thing is, if you're doing a history and you're changing all the names of the people, I don't really see the point. This era of comics, especially what they're dealing in right here, is the kind of comics code coming in. It's talked about so much in documentaries and history books of comics and things. I guess I don't understand the point of doing it if there's not a Howard Chaykin angle where he's going to really portray the people in a certain light, or kind of try to uncover some stories that are going to completely shock you. I admit I'm not kind of the biggest history nut when it comes to every single niche pocket of comics. But even for me, there was a lot of this that it's like, okay, well, I know this story. I know how this kind of happened. So it makes me feel like, because this is issue 1 of volume 2, maybe I am missing something. But honestly, I got to the end of the book and I kind of was, there was nothing that kind of hooked me that I want to see where he goes to next. I even put a little subscription crease in it so I could carry it in my back pocket as I was walking around. We stopped by one of the local comic shops by the office on our lunch break, me and my daughter, because she's been coming to work with me for homeschooling. So, I mean, I'm curious about the first volume to see what I'm missing. But I don't think it's going to be one that I'll hunt out the single issues. If I see a cheap trade for the first, maybe I'll give it a shot. But like I said, this one didn't catch my interest too much, to be honest. I guess I expected Chaykin to be Chaykin and really give us something that was going to be, not necessarily borderline offensive isn't necessarily the thing, but some sort of meat. There was going to be some sort of meat. Some sort of, like, I don't know, Chaykin fuck you to these people, you know what I mean? And there just wasn't there, right? So, yeah. So it was, and again, I think that the biggest part for me was, if you're going to tell the history, just tell the history. I don't understand telling the history that we all know and changing the names of a bunch of things if you're then not really telling any sort of lurid details of what's going on, debauchery and this sort of thing, because it's all pretty run-of-the-mill stories of, well, now they have to adapt, and hey, what is this comics code? This is bullshit, and well, I guess we're going to try these comics, try out this. It's like, yeah, it didn't do much. So anyway, that's my small thoughts on that one. I see our AFPC was saying he liked the first volume of A-Kids, and Damien is saying he had trouble understanding the first volume. Changing timelines, hard to identify characters. Yeah, it just seems like there's so much to kind of get through to kind of feel what the references are, But anyway, that's my thoughts on that one. I think also I was expecting more, especially coming off of Black Kiss, which I realized that this was never going to be anything like. But coming off of that and then coming to this, it seems kind of, it just seemed kind of a bit of a letdown. There you go. LahRasa, what do you got next?
Well, this is my last book I read. So here you go. I told you I haven't read that many. I'm still going for the Fantastic Four. This is next issue. After that, what I was showing to you before, so it's still John Byrne going strong. And this time, of course, there's Dr. Doom. And one of the best days to start a comic book is when you see this kind of panel, which I absolutely love. I was a little bit kind of like confused, to be honest, in at the beginning of the few pages, because it's basically kind of like he came back and tell us what really happened previously, but somehow, even though Reed Richards understood his own son's abilities and what's happening with the Thing, he's continued with the charade of trying to find a cure for him. So that was kind of confusing, even though he says, like, okay, we understand. It seems to be that he understands as well, but Richard just still continues, doesn't want to hurt Thing's feelings. Like, he's still trying his best, even though it seems to be the Thing is himself who already has realized that he okay with what he is because of his love for Alicia. Anyway, so that was one of the confusing parts, but then the story kicked in really nicely, and we had Doom involved, and Latveria was into fruition. It seems to be. Also, there was this little snippet, which I haven't read yet, any of it, but Micronauts were mentioned in this panel in here. As Micronauts was series as a toy series, isn't it? I think I remember that clearly as well. So they were mentioned here briefly, and I was like, oh, I really would like to read it, but I don't really have any back matter of Micronauts, and especially I would have really wanted to read Micronauts in this kind of comic book format rather than digital, to be honest. Anyway, so this story is basically was about Doom and his another chance to take over or capture our Fantastic Four in this, but in this way we're having Puppet Master involved in here, but Puppet Master didn't last very long in the issue. Basically Doom apparently was supposed to be captured, and he was his mind was captured in this box in here in this panel. And then in order to free himself to be fully free, Doom was having this great scheme how to capture Fantastic Four. And it's really well done, to be honest. I really enjoyed it because we had seen the robots. Also, we have each of our characters had their own limelight in each kind of like a page. So you have Sue Storm battling with Dr. Doom, The Thing, the Reed Richards, and Human Torch. And then how they all understood that they were, it's like it seems to be they all battling the Dr. Doom. So each one of them had Dr. Doom to beat, but all the Dr. Dooms they were beating weren't really a Dr. Doom. It was a part of the scheme of Dr. Doom to capture them is by using the robot Dr. Dooms. So yeah, really, really fantastic. Once again, John Byrne is doing what he does for Fantastic Four, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm slowly I guess I read an issue a week. I guess that's how I do it now. So I just couldn't stop. I started reading this one, and I just had to go through all and read. And actually, it was quite a big read, to be honest. There's quite a bit of a paneling going on here, but the story was really nice. And of course, unfortunately for Dr. Doom, Fantastic Four is way too smart for him. But there's a catch. The story hasn't finished because Dr. Doom is not in power, but Latveria is suffering because of that. And it's interesting. And the Fantastic Four cannot believe what they're seeing in the scene, basically, because of the new power in Latveria. Seems to be even worse than what Doom was. And he's saying, if you're not helping me, because next issue apparently Fantastic Four doesn't have a choice but to go and help Dr. Doom, because he says, if you don't help him, who do you think is worse, you or me as a leader? So very good, fantastic, very, very entertaining, and John Byrne does it again to me. He is really taking his own fruition and making Fantastic Four. I mean, I already liked the Fantastic Four. I think I'm more familiar with Fantastic Four out of Marvel Universe. Even X-Men, I'm kind of familiar, but Fantastic Four is the second. And this is really good. I was really curious about Joe Byrne. I heard quite a few people taking that he is doing really good series in here. That's why the Omnibus Collected is actually selling quite well as well, because it seems to be a really entertaining tale. And Fantastic Four it's a good team to see how they deal with everything, but Byrne seems to be letting all the team to do the job, not only Reed Richards with this beautiful mind of his geniuses, but seems to be all of them have a shot at, even Clobbering Time goes there more often than when you usually see it, like the Thing doing his own beating, and it's like, I'm gonna win. Even him, the Thing managed to beat the robotic Doom. He's like, I knew something is wrong with you. You don't have as much impact punch as you usually have. And it's like, it snaps his head off. It's just fantastic. I mean, it has the same feel of what you have from Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, but John Byrne just have his own tale to them, and it's really good. I think I forgot who wrote, but I read one of the new writers of Fantastic Four. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, Hickman's Fantastic Four is fan-bloody-tastic. He is going in like he always does with Marvel Universe, and yeah, it's actually quite good to go maybe his first with Hickman's I'm talking about, and just to understand the Fantastic Four these days, because it's not as an intense read as you have from that kind of era of comic books. But yeah. Byrne kills really, really nicely in this Fantastic Four run.
My son and I had read some of those Hickman Fantastic Fours, like the first couple of issues. I don't know if he still has them upstairs. We were loving them as well. And it's not a group that I know much about or that I've read a lot about in the past, but we were really digging them. We just fell off them. We just didn't continue with it.
Read the full through. You will understand everything, all details about the Fantastic Four, because Hickman does that. He goes and like dissects them really and puts them all together the way he wants them to be. But he dives into the kids more as well, which is really good dynamic to see, because it gives you a little bit more different take on Fantastic Four. But honestly, he is really good in that. So yeah, I'm definitely I like Fantastic Four in general. It seems to be one I always think like kind of like what you remember from Fantastic Four is just like you have that thing, like always punching people. But honestly, seeing all those different writers writing them, I'm starting to like them more, because it gives you just like a bigger picture of the characters, which is that's what should be entertaining for the comic book part, like when you start to unravel the secrets and stuff like that and start to kind of get to know them more. And this actually makes me, again, excited about Fantastic Four, which, as I say, I read quite a few of them before that, like history-wise and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Cool. Looks great. Mr. Grey.
Yeah, Clobbering Time is a good segue to this one. Yeah.
There you go.
This was a freebie. I ordered some other stuff, and this was included, and this was very nice, because I'm a big fan of Eric Powell's Goon. I have these Dark Horse Library editions, and but this is one chapter in the newer series, now drawn by Mike Norton. I have read by him Queen and Country, a totally different story, some espionage story written by Greg Rucka, if I'm not mistaken. And this is written and highly recommended. And this is written by Roger Langridge, who gets these characters pretty good. I mean, they are, I guess they're easy to write. This guy, this goon, has pretty distinct features, and in terms of his character as well, not only his appearance. The story is a typical goon story. Our goon and the boy Frankie, his henchman Frankie, and friend Frankie, they fight for one witch here. She brews beer, and some other guy brews beer in that village. And this is, of course, a German fish guy. So, well, there, you see him. Man. And it's a bit Lovecraftian fish guy and Nazi, however, blended into each other, and it works for the sake of the story pretty well. And we have some funny interludes, like they both have to transport this piano for a friend of them, but then they found out he actually plays the piano so bad that they convince him that this piano is sick, and the piano has some disease, so he has to get rid of it. And then they threw it out of the window. It's just goofy nonsense like that.
Yeah.
And here we have some witch hunter. And overall,
it looks like Vincent Price.
Yeah, exactly. And overall, it's a nice little story that is still not. It's continued in the end, because our guy, the goon, he is thrown down or beaten up by the mob, which is a bit out of character, because the goon actually is never beaten in the Eric Powell stories, as far as I remember. But my problem with this story here is that Mike Norton is just not Eric Powell. And you see this totally when you see the cover, which was done by Eric Powell, or the the cover of the next
For the
issue
next one.
here. Yeah,
So good.
It's fantastic, and this watercolor style. I don't care in this instance if it's real watercolor or done with the computer. You don't recognize the difference. That's just what carries these stories and make them exceptional. And here the coloring is, it's drowned in these greenish colors with no real effect, but I don't know. The story is okay, but it was not enough to convince me to hop on the new Goon train. Maybe when Eric Powell will do a new Goon series, new Goon stories by himself, then it will become interesting for me. This hillbilly story that he does now, this looks pretty intriguing.
It's supposed to be
this will
fantastic.
be collected
I've never
in
seen
some.
it shot. Yeah.
Mike Norton has done Revival, one of my favorite series I've read because I was just starting to read into, and he done all the 42 issues. That's great. But one of the things I think he excels at as Mike Norton artist himself, he does Battle Pug, his own series, and it's fantastic. It's almost kind of
this
similar.
was by him, okay.
Yeah, so he's the one who has then created it. So I honestly own any because quite difficult to get hold of. I usually have to order from like his site and stuff like that. So, but Mike Norton's art is great when he comes into. But I think that's why Eric Powell even asked him to do it, because they have like, if you see Battle Pug, you kind of understand why. They're almost kind of similar little things.
I know the iconic picture of this guy riding on this animal.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's really good series. But Eric Powell, I think when creator who actually even able to draw and write, he does know the character so personally, and he has been doing it for so long. It's difficult for him to have somebody else to come and do the job because it's so strikingly different than anybody else who tries to do it. So he has really unique style when it comes to that kind of Goon series, and I think that's what really attracted me. I even have those library editions, and to say I'm kind of ashamed I haven't read them all. And I want to read them. I've been telling that throughout this chat we've been doing, is saying I have them, and I really like looking at them. To be honest, it's really nicely look in my shelf. It's like, oh, this is actually I'm feeling really great because I know that I have them all, kind of thing. So it's because maybe I have them all. I think I don't tend to go for it. It's like I know I can go, just pick them up and just read them. So, but I'm glad I have it. I own it.
Cool. In my continuing saga of comics that should give you a hard on, I read the 3 issues of Hyena. I think it was Stan Lee who said should make you rock hard, true believer. I think was his quote. So this Hyena came out from Tundra. I think it was, I want to say it was 5 or 6 issues. I've only got these 3. I've had them forever. I flipped through them before. I've read them in the past, but I came across them. I was organizing my magazine boxes and found these. And these are just kind of just classic anthologies. These are incredibly rude and just a lot of ridiculous fun. One of the reoccurring kind of one panel strips are these men in holes. And I don't know what it is. They're completely stupid, but I get such a kick out of each and every one of them. And they're scattered through all of the issues. We get some Ultra Klutz in here, which was just okay. It wasn't one of the highlights for me. We do have my favorite. Just gonna flip through. Oh, this one was noteworthy just for the art, and I'm not seeing the artist's name, but it's P Dog versus Poop Dog, and it's just absolutely out of control art wise. And I wish I could tell you the name of the artist, but it really reminds me of Victor Cairo stuff with just kind of the insanity that's happening on the pages. And even just the lettering, and like I said, it's completely childish humor. You're not getting any sort of, it's just completely nonsensical. But it was so much fun to read all of this stuff. Henderson, this was a really great story. I won't go through every single issue or every single story, but there was some highlights. This postal perversity was again hilarious. Going to the post office because he had lost. He had ordered a penis enlarger and it never got to him. So he goes to the post office and of course they announce it. And they go to the back and have a conversation with him, and it leads to each of the postal workers showing him their increasingly small penises, telling him he's got to go out and talk to a cop. But when he talks to the cop, he should expose his penis to him as well, while they sit and watch and just have a good laugh. So we're talking highbrow here. And then there's this little kind of tipped in mini comic as well too, or stapled in mini comic as well, which is pretty great. But getting to the highlight for me is Mr. Roy Tompkins, one of my favorites, with his hillbilly Harvey, and those stories that they just never fail to make me laugh out loud. And this one was a lot of fun. So it's this supposed Halloween party that he's being invited to. This kid in the neighborhood, and Harvey wants to make time with this kid's mother, who's recently single. Her husband has gone to jail, so he thinks this is going to be a good opportunity. Turns out he was duped to be the babysitter while she has a party downstairs. And when he finally kind of gets downstairs, I love these panels of Roy Tompkins showing what adults at parties talk about, which is just all complete nonsense. Oh no, you run right over those. Deeper is better. My guy in college just had some. Just these little snippets of conversation that he's hearing, and it's a blast. And of course, one of the highlights being some Frank stories in a couple of these issues, not every single issue. So it really does take a turn. This one is kind of it's more a gag than I'm used to with Jim stories. It still has, Frank stories. With Jim Woodring stories, there's usually this kind of surreal element, but this one does have kind of like a punchline at the end. When he comes back and he finds Man-Hog has set up the whole thing to send him away on this little vacation so he could break into his house and kind of live in Frank's house. So Frank comes home and sends a letter to a chicken. Congratulations, you have won 300 pounds of sausage. And he's dispatched Man-Hog for playing a trick on him. So probably the biggest punchline you're ever going to get from Jim Woodring. And then there's some Mac White with this Priapus, the god of fertility, with this huge hard on, and he just chases this woman around the yard to try to convince her that come and take a break and have a seat. I'll show you some pleasures that you've never known before in your life. So, you get the gist. I'll just show you the covers. This cover is one of my favorites of it, of the run. And the same artist does some work inside too. And again, like the table of contents page, just completely out of control in so much as even where it's lettered, you can't figure anything out in there. I tried to decipher what that was, but I couldn't figure any of it out. Maybe it wasn't in this issue. He had and we get kind of our main characters on issue number 4 hanging out and having a meal together. I think it was in this one. Yeah, there we go. So kind of count the happy things, almost like a coloring book page, which I love the look of that. This one has a lot more men in holes as well, which is an added bonus to me. There's a couple of the entire inside back cover is men in holes. Ridiculously fun. It was a really, really fun read to sit and just kind of have something different that's not a heady trip, because I'm also working my way through the one by Rick Veitch, which is fantastic and rude and everything too. But there's a little more complexity there, so it's nice to have something like this to fall back on and just have a good laugh. So yeah, there you go. That's my contribution to this lowbrow comics podcast chat.
Before I forget, I mean,
I've find the other issues. Yeah, go ahead, Rasa. Sorry,
I haven't. I mean, I can't show you any other one comic book I read, but I wanted to ask if you have watched the Loki series, the first episode with your family.
We sure did. We watched it last night. We gathered around the TV and watched it. Yeah. What about you, Mr. Grey?
No, sorry.
No.
It's Star Trek. It's all about Star Trek. What are you talking about? He doesn't have time for anything else. You know, right. It's too busy for this kind of like Trek in the way in this space.
Yeah. What did you think, Rasa?
I was very I wasn't expecting anything, to be honest. I was kind of like, I didn't want to watch trailers. I watched some trailers that didn't make sense to me. But then, of course, when you watch TV show, it's completely different. And thankfully, I didn't too much watch the TV trailers, because these days TV trailers are very, expose everything most of the time. And you just like, you have just to see the whole picture. So kind of annoying to that point. But I was thoroughly, to be honest, surprised how much I enjoyed it. I mean, I like Tom as an actor in generally. I keep on saying night. What is it called, that TV show? Oh, now I'm gonna blank, of course, when I want to talk about it completely. There's a TV show he did with blank. Oh my god, I can't speak. Anyway, forget about it. He did that TV show. I really enjoyed. Blah blah blah. La la la. But anyway, the whole TV show itself was fantastic. To be honest, I actually was surprised. And but my favorite part was cartoon. Of that, when he went through that, and you have that screen, and they just explain to you your demise or whatever, you have to follow those rules. That was just like tick 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 tick. That's it. After that, I'm okay with the whole episode afterwards, but that was just the highest point. I was like, why don't they do animation, man? That was spectacular. I think one of the best scenes for me in the whole. As I say, in the whole first episode. I mean, we're gonna only have 6 of them, which is great. I think we don't need to overly blow this up, and I think I'm not really sure where they're gonna go with it, because it seems to be they are doing whatever they want to do with this stuff, especially the subject they're touching, and they're talking about time traveling. So for great to know a little bit more. And then time travel is basically you can do whatever you want, and it exposes to anything in the universe, to be honest, especially the team behind that time traveling. It seems to be they have the most power, which is fantastic, to be honest. And especially another scene which they have when the guy opens the drawer. That Night Manager, exactly, Vidal. That's exactly what I was talking about. Have you guys watched the TV show, The Night Manager?
No.
It's so good. You like espionage? That's what you should watch. And he is, I think after the TV show, everybody was questioning why he wouldn't be at all like 007, the Bond one.
I see, yeah.
Because it's kind of like touches kind of that stuff in the way he's presented, like the suit and Tom actor. And he was really nicely presented in everything. But anyway, I digress. I'm just talking about the TV show is fantastic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot more, but I'm not sure where they're going to go with that. Because time traveling can be very, very good, but can be very, very bad. And so far, it's intriguing.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, you were talking about the trailer. I was happy to see, because I loved the trailer. I was happy to see that the trailer actually led you down a completely different path, or it did for me anyway, than what the episode turned out to be. I got the impression from a trailer of a completely different show. So I think they utilized that part of it really well. We loved the show. I thought it was really, really entertaining. Tom he's also an executive producer on it as well, too. I guess having his hand in there as well. The other thing that I liked, the other thing that could absolutely backfire is anytime, it's like you may as well have all the characters wake up and realize that it was a dream when you're doing time travel stuff, right? Because you can just buy your way out of everything. But that said, though, I still think this is going to be an absolute blast of show, because all of those kind of comedic elements are really there. Some of the story elements I think are going to be really intriguing. I was impressed. We were all really impressed with it. We watched it with Lillian as well too, so it wasn't too intense. There was one moment where we kind of we sensed that maybe something was going to happen. It actually wasn't as horrific as I thought it was. She still didn't watch it anyway, but the rest of it, she kind of got a kick out of, as much as a 7-year-old will. But the rest of us absolutely loved it. Thought it was very, very entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to hear that it's only 6 episodes. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. I just want 6. I don't want 12 or 24 or 115. I just want 6. That's it.
I think it's that like the Infinity Stone part. Do you remember that the guy opens and sees those stones, and he just you see his face. What I like about this show, you see his face, and it's like, "Fuck it, I'll give up, man. This is it. Fuck it. There's no point." Kind of like, to do that in TV show where you have all this mega movies you produced, all those Avengers and everything, and he is the one who wants to be the god of everybody because apparently, that's what he feels he's supposed to be, because it's a whole mutual right to do that. And then suddenly see that, open the drawer, it's like, what? This is it? This is bullshit. I give up kind of thing. Okay, whatever. I don't care about it. And I like that part. They kind of making fun of themselves, to be honest, because pushing such a bubble to people getting to follow it and go completely crazy about Avengers and all that franchise of the movies. And suddenly you have this TV show, and he's like, "Fuck this shit." But apparently, it's not really what's going to happen. There's when people are dissect the TV shows and everything like that. I read something. I didn't read a lot because it actually kind of spoiled it. Because I have to be dumb, whatever. I want to see whatever my brain gonna understand and everything. But somebody's saying that Infinity Stones is just kind of a joke, inside joke apparently, or something like that. So anyway. But we'll see. But anyway, it's a good show so far. Yeah, it was a strong first episode for sure. Yeah. I like that character. He was looking when he saw the Infinity Stones. That guy who works in the office, whoever that actor was, he nailed that role as well too. Just this kind of, Loki threatens to gut him like a fish, and of course he doesn't know what a fish is, and just really ridiculously funny. There was just some really ridiculously funny parts too, right? So exactly. There's a good balance. Yeah, it's good to see that kind of they don't take it. It doesn't seem like they will take it too seriously with Loki because of the Loki's abilities. He's a god of mischief, so surely you can't take it too much dark or whatever. I mean, it's dark already, but I have a feeling it might get a bit dark. Yeah, but the subject so far is kind of lighthearted, and it's nice to see, to be honest, for the first episode. Yeah, super fun. Okay,
sounds interesting.
Talk comics.
That's comics, sort of sideline comics,
Yeah,
comics.
I know, but it's a TV show, so
Yeah. Did you have anything else you read this week, Mr. Vidal?
I
continue. I just pulled a Damien on you. Damien's not here. So,
it's going everywhere. It's like a disease.
Grey.
His birthday party seems to have some lumps when he can comment every time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I continued. There are 3 volumes. This is volume 2. And I have to. Last time I said about the one that it was really somehow a surprisingly easy read. Here it's got sometimes a bit okay. I have to roll with it because the high concepts and I didn't understand each and every motivation of these ruling class. We see for the most part the people that are in charge of the world, or the different rather the different parts of what's now the divided nations of America. And these are for the most part douchebags and a-holes, and but what really redeemed this book here for me, and overall it's I I still like it, and it's a really nice read. But what a part of the difficulties that I had with some panels, and that I didn't understand everything. But I think in a second read I will be much more into it. What's really fascinating is that the most evil guy here, the beast. What's the name of the son of death and that Chinese lady?
Oh my God! It's been a while.
The beast. Man, God.
Now I'm thinking how it's gonna bother me.
The beast of.
Wish I could help you. I've never read it.
Yeah. This dude, the kid. He's eventually the beast who is supposed to end all times, and he has just a one-liner.
Oh, you're gonna.
I'm blinking total. But as some other guy here, you see him?
Hellboy.
Yeah.
Babylon. The kid's name is Babylon.
Yeah, Babylon. Yeah, and but he has some.
Balloon.
Referred as to Babylon. Yeah, but
the balloon is the guy, the thing.
Yeah,
floating?
the balloon. Yeah, he walks around with a balloon, and here you have him.
Yeah.
And this is a bad picture to show what I actually want to say. He is he's the spawn of the hell eventually, and like Hellboy, but Hellboy was tamed by culture, by his upbringing, and by humankind. If you have a positive concept of humankind, of humanity, in a Star Trek way, humanity, and so he's amongst all these high-ranking politicians with their bad motives and these real bad people. He's a nice guy, at least in this part of the story. And he writes in the end, it's revealed, spoilers, that he is supposed to kill each and every by these evil entities who brought him up, and he's nurtured by lots of cyber tech, and one part of the cyber tech is actually this balloon, and he is supposed to teach him how to kill, how to murder, how to be the beast of the end times, and to fulfill his purpose, so to speak. But he just says, I can't kill this little piggy. He killed all the pigs before because his cyber tech
balloon
showed him different monsters, ugly beasts, and so on, to make it easier for him to act the way he should act. I'm summarizing pretty badly, but he's just a nice guy. And to wrap it up here, my total incoherent blabber. Here we see him riding on that piggy who he was supposed to kill before, but he obviously didn't kill it. And then Daddy Death arrives because he is eventually the son of death, and off they go into the sunset.
Yeah.
I mean, I said spoilers ahead. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
And this is just crazy and funny and nice and heartwarming in a way, and it counterbalances pretty well all these douchebagginess of these guys and ladies who are just scheming their evil plots. Oh, our host has
Disappear.
left the building.
No, he just the audio.
No, sorry, I'm still here. Just people coming in the room. I'll be with you in 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
The one thing with the East or West where I really like is the way he was searching for the son first, because they were taking him away when he was born, because how Death was able even to have a child or even a relationship, that was basically that he was the bad guy of the story, Death itself. But that Mao, House of Mao, she's the leader. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's crazy good. I mean, I think you'll. I don't know if you have already found out her backstory, how she became who she is now, the leader of the clan. I really like that dynamic of both of them. So I really, I'm you telling me more. I just like, I relive that storylines. It's just going, and I understand when you come to say about too overly complicated. All the leaders, we have just one thing in mind, just to be the big dog, basically, of the whole America at the end of the day, and they're all clashing, and they try to work together, kind of thing, to get to that purpose. But then you have your Death, who gets in the way and everything, and that kid who is being manipulated by the floating balloon, which is basically a robotic machine, and he's wearing that, like those kids wearing these days, those artificial intelligence goggles where your surroundings, everything, and it shows in there, which I really like, by the artist, what he actually sees by that balloon. His perception of reality is really different to what actual reality is. So I really like that dynamic.
I guess what I wanted to say, that he's always referred to as the beast of the apocalypse, or maybe I'm confusing it with this other monster which was grown out of the arm of that poor guy who was the priest in this.
It's the higher message that the whole arm and things which grow out.
The word.
It's the message. Basically, what they supposedly is following is the message. All the leaders. There's what they say. There's some things written in the books, and they want all to follow that, because it's almost like a Bible part and like a religious part. So
but to just to add a bit to this father and son theme here, and what you said about Death being this dad that he's just a father in these moments who looks desperately for his son, and I don't know if you can. Here. And he holds on to his son very closely, and his son, look at just the hands of the boy, who just don't know how to handle this situation here well, because he never met his father before in person, and it's just a strange situation. And just there's another panel where he walks around with this balloon cyberkinetic part, which is some kind, eventually evil tech to manipulate him. But he refers to it as his balloon, hence the name of this tactile for him. And he's just a little boy with this balloon walking over the surface of this strange future world. So there's so much stuff in this book here that will be explored with the second read, I guess, and it's enough for me to get on with it. Even though I have to say, I think maybe 50% of the high concepts of Hickman just passed me over.
It's very difficult, because he goes into, he likes to as I say, he overly wants to dissect the storyline and shoves that to you, and you're like, okay, can you be a bit more simplistic, because you give me all those words and all that religion parts, which is really quite a main storyline in here as well, because that's basically because of that word or that message they all heard. That's what's really happening in that world, and Death and all those like war and famine and conquest, all of them together. You're supposed to be part of them because they are 4 horsemen of apocalypse. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be together, and Death suddenly decides, oh, fuck you guys, I'm gonna have my own life, I'm gonna have a baby, and I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then everybody like, what the hell, you're not supposed to do this kind of stuff, you're deaf, like you can't have your life.
It's a bit like in the Sandman, where destruction just left the family. I don't like to be destruction anymore. I just like to paint bad paintings and have fun with my dogs on some island. But there are so many little stuff, like they refer to the other horsemen refer to Conquest as their mother. For one, because she in one of her personalities in personas, she was the mother of this Ezra priest guy. But on the other hand, I think Conquest as the mother of all horsemen of the apocalypse. I mean, with Conquest starts it all. When you try to conquer some land, some country, all the other stuff follows. So it's maybe this is misinterpretation, but I thought, okay, yeah.
Architectural panels. This is finished series. It's 44, 45 issues at 3 volumes in hardback if you want. Like the same thing what the Mr. Grey showing to you. It's really nice editions as well. Oh. Why not art? Wow, on YouTube. It's been a while.
He still lives.
No, he's being quite a lot. If you follow Instagram, you would know that he's still doing quite well. But we haven't seen him in the YouTube line for a while. So
no, it's true.
Yeah, it's really nice to actually even see his scribbles. Miss his videos. I really liked it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. So it's 3 hardcover volumes. Is that what you said?
Yes, 3 hardcovers. I think 3 or 4. Is it 3?
3.
Yeah. I followed 3 out the whole thing. Yeah, it's really good. If you anybody who wants to try it, and if you want to get into that Hickman world, is exactly what he shines through. Like you can, if you can understand that high level of intelligence writing, it's even more probably hidden messages, because I was really I enjoyed that message you were talking about, but then you'll read furthermore, because then they're gonna go and clash kind of together, and you'll have a characters like a wolf and crow in there. There's one message he has been passing on, and I was like, I'm still kind of like, what was going on? So I'm still kind of, you can read, I think, his work more and more, and I think you would probably get more out of it, because when you read it all in chunk, it's like, huh? What did I just read? But that's what Hickman does, and I like that, to be honest.
Yeah, that was my feeling sometimes, and I wanted something easier, like the Manhattan Projects, which was crazy in its own right, but I guess I got the jokes while here. As you mentioned, the crow and the wolf story, this is something pretty mysterious. I mean, really fascinating. This woman who changes into this flock of birds and back again, and this wolf guy who is all some native guy, and he's befriended with this other guy, and so on. And really complex characters and interesting concepts.
Because Hickman touches in religion, spiritual realm, then sci-fi, then he puts in whatever he just feels in there, and it seems to be mashed up together. But honestly, as I said, I really enjoyed the ending. We'll see what you think about it, because I will be curious to see what you think. But there's some people where I heard complain about it, because Hickman is Hickman himself, like in the series. But as I say, it's really interesting to just dive into it and see where your head is going, because he just takes your head somewhere and you're like, what the hell is going on here, as I said before.
Yeah, no, I'd like to give it a shot. I've seen those hardcovers around. I've read 1 or 2 issues, but just again, another one that can't keep up with everything, but it looks great. Sounds really cool. Nice. So to kind of continue with our TV slash stuff, if I can do the buttons here. I read this week. So Serenity, the character Shepherd. So this is book 3 in that series from Dark Horse. It was the only one that they had at the place downtown when I bought it. So I thought I'd just dive in. It didn't seem like anything you needed to kind of go with. So it has so Joss Whedon is kind of on board. Zach Whedon writes this one, and then Chris Samney does the art on this. And I was really looking forward to seeing Chris Samney art, but it really kind of let me down a bit. Now I'm having one of those moments where I feel like maybe I've spoken about this already. Did I talk about this one last week or no?
No.
Okay.
For sure not.
All right. I'm having, I guess I'm in some sort of time loop like Loki. But the Samney art, it didn't blow me away in this one. It felt rushed for some reason. That said, though, this was such a good story, and it's convinced me that I do need to find some more. So we have the story of the shepherd. If you know the TV show, he kind of always had this mysterious past. We don't quite know where he's come from and what kind of life he's led. So this one tells you that. And this is by no means a spoiler, because the story begins with what appears to be Shepard's death. And then we go back. But I mean, again, I say appears to be because it is a comic and we'll see what happens. It could very well be that he's fine. But I just thought it was a really nice storytelling technique. So then we get chunks of, we go back to his time on Serenity and his kind of hangouts with Jane. We get pieces of that. And then we kind of go backwards. We find out that he was part of like the Imperial, like the Empire or whatever, basically the Serenity version of the Empire anyway. But then as you kind of go back, you see that might not necessarily be the case. He's responsible for a lot of deaths, a lot of soldiers' deaths, and gets kind of stripped of his ranking. Really, really great, because I won't, at that point, I won't spoil anything else, because I think it really takes some nice turns there. It was really, really enjoyable. A nice, easy read that I sat, and like I said, we're right in this life of Firefly. We finished watching the series just the other week. We even get touches of his childhood with an alcoholic, abusive father as well too. So you really get a nice, as much as it answers a bunch of questions, there's still a lot of mystery to it, which again is what you should have. You don't want every single stitch answered for you, but it does work in giving us a really nice overview of kind of where he's come from, and we don't really know. You kind of have a little bit of a taste of his motivations, but I loved this quite a bit. I thought it was really well done. A very nice surprise, because I didn't know how much you were going to be able to tell of this story in comic, and if it would do the show justice, because we love the show so much. It's always a little trepidatious to kind of dive into kind of the comic world of it. But I think if anybody can do it, Joss Whedon can do it, because for Buffy and Angel and all those shows, he had multiple seasons that were comic books. My ex-wife, my son's mom, is a huge fan of those shows, and apparently those books do an incredible job of continuing TV show, keeping that mood and stuff. So I'm highly hopeful that this will do the same thing. I'll be seeing what else there is out there. I haven't done any digging yet. I'm sure that you can get these in kind of much thicker collected volumes as well too. So, and it's all Dark Horse. A bit of a beefier price tag on it, considering how kind of thin the book is. This one was a little bit discounted when I got it, but still really, really cool. Yeah, a very, very nice surprise.
I think I want to watch it again.
Feed that need for more of the TV show anyway.
Yeah, I think I want to watch the TV show again. So it seems to be like you're giving me that bug. I don't know. I have this weird feeling about Joss Whedon, because of I mean everything whatever he's created I actually watched and I thoroughly enjoyed it, like Buffy Vampire Slayer, like that Alien I think is this work as well, And then that's his work as well. It's kind of like because of this, like, there's no whatever extracurriculum he does after whatever he does, like not work related, like that kind of thing. So I'm kind of like, like, do I like the guy? Do like even he's doing stuff and like it seems to be entertaining? But I'm surprised that this is going, because like it's good to see that there's a audience for that, because I like,
right.
Like I've seen it everywhere sometimes, but sometimes it's really difficult to actually get hold of them in like them as being produced work, because sometimes you can just random volume 3 or 2 or something,
right.
You never can find them all in the collection, and that bothers me kind of, like at the end of the day, this kind of a series you want to have to continue, especially like there's a huge fandom for Buffy still, and it continues in stories.
Enormous.
Yeah, and you have those beautiful collected editions of the Boom, but you never can get hold of them. Apparently,
right.
The minute you come out, they just sell them like in that 1 week, and you're like, huh. So I want to try, but can I? But no, because you go and look at an eBay, and it's like hundreds of pounds for one volume, especially the volume 1 is going like astronomical levels. And I understand there's a fans, but honestly, for people who like, I am a fan of Buffy for sure. I grew up with that. I watched it religiously also, but would like to get into comic book, and I tried, but I can't. I really want those hardcovers. I guess that's what my bad thinking, like, go somewhere else. You can trade paperbacks, but trade paperbacks it's like I don't know, 40, maybe 30 of them now, because there's so many volumes already in hardcover, and they are collecting way more matter as well.
Right. And I think that's the most difficult thing about this. Like, I was just double checking the date on it. So this came out in 2010. And since then there's so many Firefly and Serenity and all these mini stuff. Like, that's the only thing that I find really difficult to kind of figure out, where the hell do I start? Do they relate to one another? Or are they kind of their own little thing? So, I mean, I think the thing for this is just to keep an eye out for if Joss's name is on it. Those are going to be the ones, right? So, I mean, but 2010, 11 years worth of Serenity and Firefly, and, like, there's this new one coming out currently that I'm picking up issues of as well, too, just to kind of see what it's like. So I think that's going to be the most difficult part, discern what the hell I'm reading and where it goes and where I need to start, because they don't do like here's your book 1, it's here's this little chunk like Dark Horse does, and some of these companies do. They have a little chunk. It's all kind of part of a bigger arc, like the Hellboy universe too, right? Like, but each one seems to have this little bit of a story, that you just gotta figure out where it fits in the overall puzzle. So
I really like that they do come out, Dark Horse comes out those nice slim hardcovers, which is nice to collect as well, if you like that kind of thing, like you don't want that big chunk of information.
Sure, but I mean, a $20 Canadian price tag on it is like $20 for that is like, that's kind of insane, honestly. That's like a $9.99 or a $12.99. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a $20 book. As much as I enjoyed it, that's not a $20 book.
But it's difficult to collect them anyway. Like, it's the same with Hellboy. People. That's why I think so many people are not dwelling into that universe, because they get like, okay, you have so much like to read, but there's a lots of collections as well, but not all of them. Like, kind of is difficult to get hold of, especially of that kind of stuff. Like, for me, if I like those Hellboy library editions, still gives me headache, because I want them, but there's like 6 of them, and then get them all 6 is kind of a big of chunk of cash just to like, I want them, that kind of thing. So but I always wanted them. But even though I've read all of the stuff, I have Hellboy in single issues, I have Hellboy in trade paperback, now I have PPRD in hardcover, and it's just like, my collector brain, it goes like, do I want this? Do I really want this? Kind of thing, like. It's crazy.
You have to. The library editions.
There you go. It doesn't help for that.
But I remember in this comic chat when I wasn't a member yet, and Dr. Monkeybot nerdgasmed over these books. And actually, these library editions were the point for me where I discovered or decided now it's time to read the stuff in English, because
Okay.
We have German. I say said this often on my channel, but it's so stupid. We have in Germany Hellboy editions of, let's say, this size here. It's
Okay.
smaller than comic book, and you have these little books, part-wise in black and white, and that's the way to go when you want to read Hellboy in German. You have to read these. I mean, it's still great comics and fantastic, but when you can get these felt-bound, fantastic books, and they are pretty cheap in comparison. I don't know exactly the price, but they're incredibly low priced. I still don't know how they managed to do to put these books out. I mean, in high print runs, I assume, but
there was a time then those library edition Hellboys, especially Volume 1, was going for higher price because that was sometimes don't reprint it as often. But then I think there was like people, I don't know what happened, but they decided to release more like in the print. So now you actually can get hold of them. Hopefully, maybe I'm now speaking and everything just woofed and it's gonna high price. But
I guess they print them forever.
Because the Hellboy is just fantastic universe in generally. But every single time, like I saw you showing them off, and I saw Dr. Monkey Butt showing it off. I actually seen them in comic book shops. I opened up like, I was like, why are you not buying it? But I have singles, and I close it and I put it back. You know, like so I don't. I mean, I could triple dip whatever you want to say that kind of way, but I think I mean it's my on the back of my head list kind of thing, but always there. You know, like every single time I go to comic book shop, the first thing I think is that library edition. Do they have it? Maybe how much they want for it, kind of thing. You know, like. But yeah, it's just I don't know. As I say, I have single issues, so many of them, to be honest, of the Hellboy universe. So it's like difficult for me to. Maybe I should just depart with the single issues and just buy nice those.
Sell them for some freak who wants.
Yeah, it seems to be. Maybe I should go for that kind of route because I honestly I really like looking at those.
Make peace, and buy the real thing.
Buy the real thing.
Well, I imagine. I'm guessing that the single issues you could probably get some cash for them. I don't know how kind of sought after those are, but I imagine you could probably make some money off of those to invest to upgrade. Yeah. Are you looking now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, Scott Connor is saying the same thing about Usagi Yojimbo. It's me and Sleep Readers keep on talking about like, oh yeah, it would be nice to get into. And I saw this reprint and I was about to buy it. And then, of course, I fought too long, I guess, for one day. And all of them sold out and you can't get them anywhere. And they say it's like ridiculous second printing. It is pricey. Because, by the way, Scott Connor, I find out, there's something he put inside that's specially for the second printing. I don't think he had to even do it, but apparently somebody found out there's this special book plate. They call them, special like poster or something, and it's limited as well. So everybody just bought out, and then now they're asking astronomical price for it. So, which is crazy, which is so sad. Because it's even more difficult. I'm talking Hellboy is not easy to get into, but Usagi Yojimbo, Jesus, if you want to go hardcover route, it's impossible because its price is like goes £100, especially like volume 3 or 4. It's like, oh my God, you people are crazy. But nobody sells them. Whoever buys them, they just like to look at them in the shelves, and nobody wants to sell them.
Until they die.
No chance. I have them in softcover, these softcover trades. And they are available. But of course, I would change them and upgrade to hardcovers for sure, but no chance.
Yeah, the soft covers are what I see around here too. I don't see the hard covers.
And they're nice enough. I mean, you can.
They're really nice.
Well.
Right.
I have the same thing with Stray Bullets. They have come out with that Uber Alles edition. And then now they have the Sunshine and Roses, but they're not coming out yet with anything collected. They just have in trade paperbacks. And I'm waiting. And I'm I like actually want to read it. Like I cannot wait because Stray Bullets is one of my favorite Lapham's work as well. And I can't. She's like, I'm not gonna go trade. So I'm gonna wait for that Uber Alles because I have that in my shelf. It looks fantastic, like really like killing the book who can kill basically because it's so thick. And then they're not coming out yet, and he's not doing anything about it. He's not even mentioning anything about it, which is drives me absolute bonkers.
Yeah,
but it's not really. Probably he won't never do this, or will he?
I don't know.
I waited after the Über Alles edition for the republication of these normal trades. And then I bought the whole Stray Bullet series in that fashion. Now Sunshine and Roses fits into the series totally.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to read
on my
it.
shelf.
Yeah, I want to read it because I'm a fan of that one, and I know the story continues with all the characters, and that story is absolutely convoluted, but you can't stay away from it. You read, and it's just fantastic. One of the things what Comic Rack should read as well, if he's fan.
Yeah, I absolutely should.
Haven't you? Haven't you?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. There's some real big gaps in kind of my reading of kind of what would be considered classic comic work, right? And that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, if the Uber Alles edition is stupidly cheap, to be honest. Whatever
really,
I see,
considering, it's
paperback. It's quite thick.
Yeah.
It's like that
Yeah,
phone
I've
book.
seen it.
It's a phone book basically, and but honestly, if you're okay having it to read it on a table on something, you will go through it and you won't stop because the story just goes into areas you're like, oh my god, why? And it's like because there's people, like at the end of the day, he just dissects people really well, and they just shit whatever they can do with things in life, like that. So it was fantastic.
Yeah. I read the one thing that I did read was that the Rachel Rising, that first miniseries, the reprint when I was helping sell that collection there, and that was fantastic, really, really good. So I mean, it's easy. I think it would be easy to get into all of the work, right? Like it didn't seem like it seems like exactly stuff up my alley, right? So yeah.
But Rachel Rising is Terry Moore.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the same. I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry. I'm mixing up.
I was about to mention it.
But actually, now that you mention it, it's a bit the same kind of humor, I think.
Yeah.
This dark humor.
And the way he draws, because it's only black and white, but his art style is it suits it so well. I don't know. I think it's one of the black and white comic books where you can say, just go for it. Don't worry about, you don't need color, honestly, because you will so concentrate on those characters and whatever is happening in there. And it just continues. It's throughout the whole balance. And it's like Mind the Comic is saying, it's too big of a book, honestly. But as I say, if you can just find a safe space to do it into, like with that book, or you just go trade paperbacks, because I think he ever came out with the hardcovers, but those are like out of print. Nobody would sell that once anyway. It's like specially collected as well. So there's another thing like, oosh, like grabs me, but especially when you love the series.
Jared Osborne always comments, there were these oversized editions of Stray Bullets, and
exactly.
Yeah, and he has them, of course.
He's a fan as well. He loves them as well. Yeah, exactly.
Did you have anything else? Earl
I have
Grey?
some
Earl Grey.
Almost Google Gore.
I still have something if you're interested.
Go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe my panel of the week, this one here.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
I decided now today to go more the floppy route here. Issue 5. I mean, I'm not too convinced with all these Batman black and whites, because some stories really they could have been in color as well. I think some of the artists are not necessarily black and white artists. And some of the stories here are just generic short stories. But I wanted to show what I like. This this one pager of James Stokoe here.
Oh
This
my
is
god.
so cool. And yeah, just one page,
Very.
but the comic book, the buying of the comic book has already rewarded itself. So, and story-wise, I thought this story here really was pretty fun. George Jimenez wrote it and drew it.
Mhm.
It's basically Damien and Bruce going out to catch some mobsters, some criminals, like they always do. But Bruce plans some dramatic appearance on the scene, and he says to Damien, "You have to do this." And then I go over there, and then we do some explosions, let some devices explode over there, and then the people will be, the villains will be shocked, and I will have my big entry like this here. And Damien looks at him and says, "That's rude." and afterwards, and so they, Big Daddy Batman plans it everything, but eventually, when it comes to showtime, Damien just jumps into the scene 3 seconds too early, and screams, "Hey, cowardly and superstitious lot!" Like in the Golden Age Batman stories they did, and how he likes to do it, and he just goes wild on this villains.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And it's just like a kid behaves in this
Right.
kind of situation. I mean, it's so cool, natural, and and it's a bit like why I'm glad that we have summer holidays and I have not. So, anyhow, it's and my panel of the week I promised. So Bruce realizes what's happening, and he slaps his hand on his forehead and is a bit depressed, and says maybe his inner monologue that we don't see. Oh man. And then and last panel says it all. I mean, when Batman smiles, it's always great. And it's just, I smiled and I was happy and thought, great comic and good stuff.
That does look really good, because I'm with you. The few that I've picked up, the stories are really hit and miss, and the stories that I've missed, for me personally, have been big misses. But that looks like a really good story. That one,
yeah. And so difficult. Yeah.
Go. No. You go. You continue.
I just wanted to say something generic of the kind that good short stories are so hard to write, which is true. But yeah.
That Jorge Jimenez is actually quite good art. I mean, he is now quite popular artist in DC universe, and I think he's done when Damian and John, Superman's kid, they were joining together the stories. They were really fantastic, because they were, it's just like a kids behaving, doing whatever the kids do, but be having the superpowers, because Damian is all about Batman, and actually in those series he's became kind of Batman, like broody. It's like how and Superman's John is always very entertaining and very happy, like always there's such a charmed, like he's always happy about everything else, and Damon's like, I want to buy my way kind of thing. So it's like proper like a Bruce Wayne's child kind of thing. So to answer J-Rock, I have started reading Death and Glory by Rick Remender, because I'm a fan of Rick Remender's, but that passed me by and I never continued. It just didn't went anywhere from a couple of issues I read, so I just didn't find myself entertained enough to pick up further. Just my couple of words to mention.
I saw it, someone showed it, and I don't know. Maybe I have to read my whole Rick Remender backlog that's sitting on my shelves first.
My Deadly Class is still my favorite of his.
Deadly Class,
it's superb. And of course, Wes Craig art is, you can't. He's another level. And
Yeah,
like if
absolutely.
he can do no wrong to me, especially the paneling and action scenes is just breathtaking to watch.
And the
And still
druggy
going.
effect.
It's still going as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then there will be some another collected edition. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Just a couple to quickly wrap up my reading stuff anyway from this week. Not too much to say about them, but I finished The Goddamned. If I can click
Decent there.
buttons here. This was the fifth issue of The Virgin Brides, so like the second volume of The Goddamn by Jason Aaron, and it was great. I loved the first series of Goddamned, and this one I think was just as good for my money anyway. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and it just gets really crazy and violent. And then the two volumes sort of look like they may tie in together. We'll see where it goes. He seems to take a lot of breaks with this series, so I don't know how long it was between the first volume and this one, but it feels like it was at least a year, maybe even more in my mind of it. So that was a really good ending to that. And I did finally grab issue 4 of Two Moons, and I absolutely loved it. It's
Cool.
right up there for me. Like this series is gonna be, it's so good so far. This is gonna be one of those runs, I think, for me that's gonna kind of be up there for the year as far as stuff that I've just tried out on a whim. I'm so glad both you and Damien were talking about it, Rasa. I think I might have seen it first in Damien's video and just gave it a shot based on just kind of getting a flip through. Really glad that I did. I love that book. So much fun. And then I can't go a week without talking about the latest issue of Carmen that just continues. And again, talking about top-notch books, this is easily like number 1 or 2 reads for me this year. This issue was just amazing in kind of continuing to kind of give some insight into the story. And we get like our first page, the white light is coming for her, basically. And then we get a little bit look at the bureaucracy side of the death, our main Carmen kind of character. With just kind of, a nice surprise of a couple of pages there.
Wow.
That kind of come out of nowhere, as we leave that world and go back to visit. And it feels like there's a couple of moments playing with style. So when she comes in contact with a living person, she gets overwhelmed with kind of what their life was. And she comes in contact with these two, what look like criminals. And the style changes for the art here as we kind of get a taste of of these two guys, what they've come from in kind of, I'm guessing, like this refugee type of scenario, and white lights hovering above all of them in this boat. Really fantastic use of the colors, and just to kind of give us a taste. And we just find out a little bit more about her and her relationship with her kind of best friend. I hesitate to say too much. Again, it's one of those that part of the beauty of this story is just the way this story is unfolding for her as she's kind of getting a taste of what she's left behind, basically, by making this decision that she's made for herself in the first issue of killing herself. The impact that it's having, and kind of how almost out of touch she was with aspects of her life. It's just so good. I read it as soon as I get it. This issue, because I'm doing the homeschooling, we picked it up, and it was part of that day where just getting Lillian to the playground so she can kind of get some exercise. There's a playground that we go to that nobody is there. Restrictions are starting to lift here, but we're still kind of being very, very cautious. So she gets to run around and play, and I sat down on the bench and I pulled this out and I sat and read it outside while she was playing, because I cannot wait to see every single time this comes out. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen and get another little chunk of the story. I can't say that I'm super surprised at the ending here, but that doesn't even matter because it's now at this point, it's not about a surprise or a twist. It's just about seeing these characters develop and seeing these characters move through the story. That's just so gratifying. Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many people. I know that there are people that aren't reading it, but if you're not picking it up and you don't know it, give it a shot because it's really just an amazing story. I know that Gore Vidal broke down and bought the special language edition so he could read the whole story, the collected edition. And I'm really looking forward to, I think 5 is the last issue. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Gore Vidal in the chat there, but I'm pretty sure 5 is the last one. So really looking forward to seeing how it wraps up. Phenomenal book. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have nice collected edition.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. Something a little bit, right?
I would like to be in hardcover, of course, and a bit bigger than they usually are, but anything would be nice because I'm waiting. As I say, I read in the, do you remember we've spoken about, I read the first issue and then the subject matter was just switching me off because of that. But in general, the art, the more you guys were showing, the art is just striking. And I think just for that, I would just want to own it as well. Maybe we'll take time and read it as well. But I know it's quite a dark story at the end of the day. It looks so beautiful, and those colors he's using is just, it just wants me. I want to read it, but I just not sure if I can go with my brain going that way. So,
yeah. And I mean, I will say, like, there's definitely heavy elements in it, absolutely. But I just find the way that he's tackling the story just really beautiful. No, it's really. I'm scrolling back through to make sure we highlight some of the chat. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's not the lightest of topics by any stretch.
And just to mention to architectural foam panels about that Hickman's X-Men, House of X and Power of X, I did follow through all of it, but of course I haven't followed afterwards because it went into such a big bubble. But when I was reading it, I enjoyed where he was taking those X-Men to, especially with that planet. I'm blanking name again, even though I should know at the back of my head. The living planet, they are basically there, and they all came in fruition together. But I'm not sure if the dynamic having all villains and goody superheroes coming together as an X-Men nation, in that sense, kind of felt a little bit. I mean, it's good storytelling in so far, but I think it didn't always feel for me as the whole point of the storyline when I read them both after that. So overall, as an X-Men fan, it was very satisfactory because if he has went into the whole history, and that's what Hickman's writing is so strong about. He knows everything about them, which is I really enjoyed it. Krakoa, thank you. Yes. You see, people need to remind me of the names. Oh my God, I hate this shit. Every single time I speak, the names just like poof from my brain. It's like, what the hell? I need to speak about stuff like that, by the way.
That's why we're the best viewers in all of live stream YouTube history.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hickman's way of dealing with X-Men, I think it's really good. I think for new people who don't know much about X-Men, it's really good to get into that because it shows what he did from the past, and I really liked it. So, in that sense, but then of course Marvel will be Marvel. X-Men is everywhere, and they have all those over spamming events with them, and he has so much more Hickman. So when Hickman to do that kind of stuff, you want to read everything in the whole thing from beginning to end, then you'll know exactly what Hickman wanted to do with X-Men, in my opinion. It's exactly the same what happened when I was reading his New Avengers story. We have 4 big omnibuses, I think, or 3 big omnibuses of the back matter. And he goes everywhere through that point. But at the end, right at the end, you know exactly why he was going there. And you're like, Jesus, how much things I've read, and I had so many of it as well. So, but one of his favorite Hickman stuff, just another thing, Hickman and superheroes, the Shield story is fantastic. Whoever wants to know about Shield, read that from Hickman. It goes through one point to another one in one big omnibus, let's say this way, but it goes really nicely. It's just one of the good Marvel comics books I read, and it's only about Shield. No superheroes. I mean, there's superheroes there, but it's just the Shield kind of like
Afterthought.
and they whatever they're doing, the dealing with all the stuff with superheroes,
right?
Stuff. Oh, really good, absolutely fantastic read.
So Mina Comics is talking about March's previous work, Monica. Didn't know much about it, and I guess he did some digging. So Monica is an erotic thriller on fetishes, sex parties, and terrorism. Art by March, script by somebody else. So that's definitely one to I'll have a dig for. Thanks, G. But if he's not writing it already, it makes me a tiny bit hesitant, because part of the beauty of this is kind of how he's pairing everything together, right? Like, and I just find myself, I just keep going back to these books is the other thing. Just the last thing on this, like when I read an issue, I find this is the one book I continually just go back and flip through it again, even if I don't sit and read the issue. I do. It's just sitting here on my shelf right next to the computer, and I end up looking through it again. Oh, and then he's saying that the art doesn't look as good as Carmen. So, but yeah.
Oh, by the way, too, why not art? Have we discussed Jupiter's Legacy? The TV show, if you're talking about from Netflix, I watched the first episode. Start laughing too much because of the their beards and the costumes they were putting on. It looked like a Barbie dolls having a fight in special effects there, but it just looked kind of like rushed and not finished. And I think, I don't know if the Mark Millar is any of he was saying, of course, he's very pleased with it, but he got cancelled. So I don't know if I want to watch the second episode, because I know I've read actually in the collected editions the Jupiter's Legacy and the first ones, because there's quite a few of them actually. But the first ones I read, it was actually a really good read, to be honest. Yep. And the universe itself is quite fascinating. But the TV show, honestly, it was kind of okay, entertaining enough to spend time maybe, but nothing to like scream about, to be honest. Really nothing to scream about. Not worth even for you guys to even think about it, to be honest. Don't even switch it on. It's no point, really. No.
I have no desire to watch it. I wasn't even gonna watch one episode.
It's honestly the books itself, like, because of the artist, the Scottish guy, Quietly, he is fantastic in there. Honestly, it's really good to look at, and he shines in that book as well, of that superhero things. But apart of that, and TV show, nothing there.
Right.
To be honest. I mean, it could be entertaining if somebody wants to waste their time to watch some that stuff, but insane. No, I mean, it's entertaining enough, but I don't think it's gonna break the people's mind saying, "Oh my God, why did they cancel that?" Like.
Yeah. Well, I've heard there's people that are pretty big fans of the show, but I also heard that it was really slow paced and didn't cover much of the territory with that first series, with that first season. Sorry, didn't cover much of the books themselves.
The first, like the one episode that which I watched, it was kind of slow, but it was going to the children straight away. In his books, you have it's more of them first, and then kids come in fruition. So I don't know. It's I guess it depends how they wanted to tackle the story itself in the TV show.
Right.
So but it's difficult, as I say, comic books and TV shows, to put them back together. Like, I have big gripes when it comes to like Preacher. Love Preacher as a series itself. God, for sake, no, I can't watch it. And my husband's like, let's watch together. I was like, no, you can watch it by yourself. This is nothing what comic book has. And comic book has crazy stuff. And believe me, crazy stuff. I'm talking about all sex, horny, all that, all this stuff. But
that they'll never do in the show.
No, I mean, you can't. I don't think there's, I mean, you can go if you want to, but I don't know if that would be for public. They deciding to show it too, especially like he has to go to a level of uncomfortableness, which the book had plenty of it. Whereas, like, oh my god, especially the guy without no dick, and oh, jeez, that's like, oh, it's like, whoa, you're thinking about it. It was like, oh my god, man, do you show that on TV? Do you really? You can go for it, of course. It would be crazy
of course.
if you do, and it would be subject for people to talk about forever. But I don't know if they would have enough balls to do that, even like Amazon and all that stuff.
I actually watched the first season of Preacher, and I liked it quite a bit, but it was no comparison to the comic, of course.
Yeah, Preacher is, it just goes with the places, and you're like, you can't turn away, and you're like, the story goes, and you're like, oh my god, okay, let's just turn, let's see what's gonna happen more. And it's Garth Ennis going crazy.
And by the way, Garth Ennis, I read this. I don't talk about it. You can watch the video if you want. But Code Prue from Cinema Purgatorio. Fantastic stuff. Crazy serious. Garth Ennis at his almost best, in my opinion. Totally... a sequential of stories exploring out there ideas and poignant dialogues. And in this case, I'm pretty happy that I picked up the German translation because I thought the jokes would, how did you call it? Would pass me by all of them if I would have tried it in English. And it somehow it's a bit crazy because it seems that Avatar has not come out with a collected edition of that book.
Okay.
Maybe
I was going to ask if that was an Avatar because I recognize the title. I haven't seen this video though.
It is Avatar, but fortunately not colored in this typical Avatar fashion where they just put some colors over the drawings so that everything is drowned. And it's really I giggled and laughed out loud here in the garden and couldn't tell anybody about what I'm about dildos that are anyhow.
You see where you go to that guy. I think Garth Ennis is another one who another writers who you can really enjoy it if you want to enjoy it. Let's say he opens that world for you, like, okay, look, you can just read it and see what you think, or you go like, oh, and you turn away and you just hide it away because it just looks so filthy too much for you and your brain to digest.
But it's actually not so just filth, it's just crazy Lovecraftian elder god in some mental ward and playing Monopoly with his warden, and like they did with these Ouija boards when they summon old ghosts, and so this was supposedly an old Parker game from the publisher Parker, and Monopoly is by Parker as well. So Garth Ennis just thought, okay, this is logical that now they're playing Monopoly, and the Elder God has of course the two most expensive streets on the game in
Broadway
German.
and Park Place or whatever it is.
Exactly. But the other guy pulls him over. Anyhow, you have to read it. It's
okay, interesting. Will be back on my mind for sure. Because not everything I like from Garth Ennis. I tried a couple. I mean, Hellblazer stuff I absolutely like. And I read some quite a few of them now stories because of COVID. I'll keep on mentioning because I'm not fully into, like, I haven't read all those 300 issues, those famous 300 issues or 350 issues or whatever they are. I have them in single format because of my husband. I'm trying to get them into comic books, and he loves Hellblazer thoroughly. He's his favorite character of comic books in generally. But yeah, so I like his Hellblazer a lot. I like his Preacher a lot, Garth Ennis. But then other things like I'm not sure he's mentioning Punisher, Max. I've never read that much of Punisher anyway. But I don't remember there was something of Garth Ennis I read, and it didn't went with me. Like I probably had so much of a message there, and I just it just went past me. I was like, I don't even remember the title. That's how much I just didn't accepted kind of thing in my brain. So
was he? Because I'm confused sometimes with names. Was he Transmetropolitan as well too?
No,
Or was
Warren
that somebody
Ellis.
else?
Warren Ellis.
Okay.
Warren
thank
Ellis,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who's-
those two. Yeah, it's kind of like, but
Who's supposed to be a good man anymore, or somehow.
Right.
Maybe for good reasons, but somehow I find it difficult to hate that man who gives me so much pleasure in my reading hours. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to separate the work from the man, I think. And
yeah, there's lots of them actually.
there's a tendency. I have this discussion with my elder son, the one who speaks the better English than mine.
Yeah.
He's like. Moral is so important that you have to throw the stuff away, Father. And I don't. I read too much stuff from good authors that were basically not good people. So I have to. Yeah.
That's why I mentioned about the Joss Whedon stuff as well. It's the same thing. He has that background where it irks me because being a female and whatever he's known for. And that's the really kind of like try to separate that, because a lot of, like you mentioned, there's a lot of them, like the Warren Ellis stuff. There's lots of things I liked what I read from him, but then his background. It's like, do you want to go in that realm, or you just want to know what he's like written as well. But it's difficult, at the end of the day, you support that person who is kind of a filth of a person in general in the real life, which is difficult to separate sometimes.
It's harder for me to do the older I get, like, because I've kind of grown up and listened to all sorts of things, like especially like the black metal world and stuff like that, and the underground comics world. I find it's, for some things, it's really a situation by situation, right? Because obviously there's some stuff that, I've even shown tonight that they're probably not the nicest people in the world, but I still get something out of their stuff. But it's hard, like, because part of me is, absolutely separate the art from the artist. But then it comes to a point where, like, when it's so out there and it's known, it becomes harder for me to then separate it. So it's maybe more complex thoughts than that, than maybe we have time for here, but it is difficult sometimes, and then other times it's completely easy to go, I don't care what he does in his personal life. These stories are so great and they're so meaningful for me, right? But it's hard to do that even too, right? Like that completely, like, push it aside, trying to find some balance with it. So, but it's interesting what you said about your son, though, because there is definitely, because there's not that attachment to the work, right? There's just like, no, this guy's a piece of shit. Fuck his work. Who cares about his work? It's easier to have that separation when it's like, but his work was a part of my childhood and a part of my growing up, and these stories were so important to me, right? It's hard to just completely wash that away. So yeah.
Are you both read Planetary by Warren Ellis?
No.
Shame on me. I have the omnibus, but
no. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
because
I have to read it. It's on my reading list, very high, but for a long time, to be honest.
Well, if I can squeeze,
the book is high on the list.
If I can squeeze a couple of those higher points for you to read it, but it's really well worth it, especially from the beginning to the end. It shines through the whole thing when you read it. I mean, lots of people are hyping in the book, and honestly, I've read it, and I was hesitated at the beginning when I was reading and seeing all my people probably blown it up out of proportion, but honestly, it's a really good read. It's one of the things I think Warren Ellis should be, like, he is known for, but when you talking about him as a writer, I think this one of the works somebody should read it, because it's entertaining, especially goes into a ways of in your brain as well. I like where he takes the story itself as well, and the character as well he has as the main one, really good one to follow through of the storyline. So it's well worth it if you have time for it. It's fantastic, like Enigma Vibrations is saying. Full of wonder. It is.
Full of wonder is Enigma saying that. Hard-boiled criminals who are so much more reasonable than many average law-abiding people. The underbelly. Anybody have anything else that they wanted to? Because I'm pretty much out, I think.
No, I was done way before you guys.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
I mean, the only other thing that I read was continuing on this Thunder Mace from this RAK Graphics, and it's issue. There's 7 issues total. I don't have the 7th issue, but I read. I'll just do this. Stand by. This hosting thing is for the birds. Pushing buttons, figuring out stuff. But these are again in the world of just fun, ridiculous comics. These have been a blast, actually. I said it before in one of the videos that it's like a retelling of someone's Dungeons and Dragons adventure that they had. But it's really fun, black and white art. There's not much story wise. He's got the power that was given to him from a dragon to kind of avenge their people, and it's now just we're at the part of the story where it's just a lot of demons and gods versus humans for kind of just the struggle of humanity, right? So it's super fun. I'm really digging it. 1 issue to go. It's now on my wish list at my comic shop because it's not one that I see around here too much. So the next time I do an order from them, I'll see if I can pick it up. But yeah, not much else to say about it than that. But it's a blast so far. But yeah, that was my reading week this week. What about you, Earl? Anything else?
No, I'm through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then why don't we call it? Rasa, did you have anything else? I see you looking something up.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I wanted to show to you a panel of the planetary because
Yeah, do it.
I don't know if I can find it though. That's the thing. We're looking.
Okay.
Like the one meaningful enough for you to see, like not just like covers, because that's the only thing. Well, John Cassidy is the artist of this one. Let me see if I can. Can you go full screen? No? Okay, tablets. So it's just one of the things. It just goes mental in there. And his art is really good. Honestly, it's just a snippet of what planetary is actually going in here. So it's a lot of things. But yeah, definitely one of the wonders I read. And I really, as I say, enjoyed it thoroughly. Now I'm just thinking what else I'm going to read. I'm done, by the way, Terrence.
Okay.
I'm wondering what I'm going to read next as well, which is for this following week, because I have a lot of things I already like. The ones I read, I was like, like putting on the side I want to read, but now my brain is, because there's so much people are talking about. It's like, oh, I could read that, and I could maybe read this, and it's just like so many of things. Anyway, I'm digressing here, talking too much rubbish. Okay,
did you finish? Do you have all of the Halo Jones, Rasa, or?
I don't know how many issues there was. I have that one hardcover, which I was. Right. I read a couple of more stories. I didn't read, right. As I say, this week was my weakest reading material wise. But I don't know how many Halo Jones there was, because I have a hardcover and 12. There's quite a lot of stories. 12 stories. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have a look. It's already on my shelf next to my bed, so of course I want to read it. So I'm definitely gonna probably finish that. And then maybe we can.
Were you saying there's more, Earl?
I think there are more. Yeah, he has several iterations. There were a series, and there was a bit of a stop. I'm talking about the 2000 AD magazines, and I think this amounted to more than just one volume all over.
So then maybe that's what it was, because there was only 12 issues of this Quality Comics one. But again, I don't know what that means. Like, that could be from, I don't know where that's coming from. I assume it's coming from the 2000 AD stuff. And so maybe that's just how they parsed it out in here.
Yeah, maybe this was, I guess it has to be around 3 times more, I'm guessing.
Well, Enigma saying is there's 3 series of Halo Jones. So that means what, 3 volumes?
That's what exactly,
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I probably have. I'm not sure how much that book is collecting, but anyway, I'm gonna continue reading it throughout to see. Because honestly, I was saying Alan Moore's writing is not something you can go into quite quickly. You just have to give it a chance and just continue with it. So I want to give a thorough attention. Sometimes when my brain is too scattered, I tend not to, I read something and it just passes me over and I just don't really collect anything in my little brain. So I guess I just need more thorough attention, and hopefully this week I'll give it to do it. So because I'm curious. I want to see how far he's going to take those characters further. So because if people are talking about it really nicely, so should be good.
Yeah. Hey Gore, we'll take you up on it if you want to host us one week, please. But that would mean that your hands would have to be in on the show too, though. That's from our rider. So yeah.
15-minute breaks every 5 minutes. Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna have a snippets of every hello, me. Finished. Okay, I'm on break now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just call it. It was good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody in the chat. Lots of people hanging out.
Yeah,
and next week, I don't know where we are next week, Rasa. Who's up next?
It's me.
You? Okay.
It's me. Yeah.
Excellent.
My channel.
So if you're not subscribed to Rasa's channel, make sure that you're subscribed. But I'm seeing pretty much all of the same faces, except for it was nice to see Tony this week. Why Not Art? So if you're around next week, we'd love to see you again. And if you start making videos, please get on that. I'm still subscribed to your channel, so
for sure.
I'd love to see more Why Not Art videos.
Yeah, love to.
Right on. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.